And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome inside Jimmy John's Field here on the USPBL YouTube channel. Tonight it will be a Westside versus Eastside matchup as the Woolly Mammoths battle the Diamond Hoppers. Hi everybody, my name is Leo Ortel, and in a few moments I'll be joined by my broadcast partner, Rich Borland, to bring you the call on another WCSX Classic Rock Saturday and Girl Scout nights here at the ballpark. If you didn't catch last night's game, it was the powerhouse Utica Unicorns who took on the Eastside Diamond Hoppers. Backed by another strong start from Donald Goodson, in which he threw 5 innings while giving up just 1 run, the Unicorns won last night by a final of 3-2 and moved to a league-best 11-3 record. Although Colby Neely matched Goodson with 5 innings of one-run baseball for the Hoppers did struggle offensively, especially with runners in scoring position. They will look to bounce back tonight by sending one of their best starting pitchers to the bump in the Phoenix native, Noah Goetzies. The Hoppers can expect Goetzies to throw another quality start as he enters the ballgame this season with 14 innings pitched, a 1.29 ERA, 13 strikeouts, and just 1 walk to his name. Goetzies is a guy that likes to attack the strike zone as he throws 75% of his pitches for strikes, so we will see how he pitches against the Mammoths' solid offense. For the for the Woolly Mammoths, it will be Brian Quillens making his first start of the season and just his second appearance of the year. The product out of Austell, Georgia, played Division I NCAA baseball for his final 2 years of his college career and was used in both the starting pitching and relief roles. His only outing this year was 2 innings against the Hoppers back on May 29th. It was a scoreless 2 innings for him, and he did strike out 3, but we will see how he fares against the Hoppers his second time around in his first start of the season. The Hoppers enter the ballgame in second place in the standings with a 6-6 record, and although their 3.43 ERA does lead the league, their offense ranks last in the league with their .224 team batting average and just 2 home runs so far this season. They have been led this year primarily by the starting pitchers of Luis Contreras, Colby Neely, and tonight's starter Goetzies. And on the other end, the Mammoths have the worst record in the USPBL so far at an 8-3 mark. Offensively, they lead the league with a .258 batting average, but their 4.83 team ERA ranks last. Ethan Whisker has picked it up with his bat lately, as he was named the USPBL Player of the Week last week, as he hit .556 and upped his season batting average to .318 after he got off to a tough start at the beginning of the season. Sonny Cortez has been another offensive spark for the Mammoths as he leads the league with his .415 batting average and also .556 on base percentage. For two teams that are polar opposites so far this year as far as hitting and pitching, it is difficult to predict what we will see happen in tonight's contest, but we should be in for another good one. And now I'm going to send it over to my broadcast partner, Rich Borland. Rich, good to have you back in the booth.
Yeah, appreciate it there, Leo. Had a little busy night last evening with a lot of my groups in left field, as I'm also a group sales representative other than being the broadcaster at Jimmy John's Field with the USPBL. But overall, excited for the matchup tonight. Hoppers trying to get above that 500 mark. And just, going into this Saturday night action, taking a look at the standings, Utica sitting at 11-3 after their victory last night. Combined between the 3 other teams, they just have 2 more wins than Utica. Eastside at 6-6, Birmingham, Bloomfield at 4-7, and then the Mammoths here tonight trying to get just their 4th win as they sit at 3-8. It's been all Utica through the first month of the season, as of course opening day back there on May the 10th, and it's been an unbelievable first month in terms of it was a lot of pitching through the first couple of weekends. The offense has started to come around, but overall Utica in front of the league, and I don't see them slowing down anytime soon. But between these two teams tonight, you said Goetzies and Quillens, the 2 starters for this one. Brian Quillens, he's only had 1 outing, like you mentioned, just the 2 innings under his belt. He's thrown just in total 22 pitches. All of them have been fastballs. He's got a 4-seam and a 2-seam, but he does have a slider, supposedly, that we might see tonight. Not sure if and when he'll bring that out, but yes, Noah Goetzies has been absolutely stellar so far this season. That ERA coming into play tonight It's at 1.29, which is just absolutely tremendous through his first 3 starts. He's got 14 innings pitched, just the 2 earned runs allowed, but the kicker, 1 walk to 13 strikeouts. A guy who's going to throw strikes, as you mentioned there, Leo, throws them 75% of the time. He's only given up 3 extra base hits on the year, and all of them have been doubles. But in the end, that ERA combined with just the 1 walk to 13 strikeouts, expect to see great things from Noah Goetze tonight. And then on the other end of it, for Brian Quillens, haven't really seen much from him, so we're excited to see what he can do in the public play, as we haven't seen him yet this season with a crowd. So we'll see how that fares for him mentally and how he'll fare against the Eastside Diamond Hoppers, whose offense has not been all that great. They've really carried their season so far with pitching and defense behind, of course, Luis Contreras and Noah Goetze, alongside the defense that, is just, I would say, one of the best in the league. But overall, we can go through the lineups as we're getting ready to see them out on the field. We'll start with the visiting. That would be Westside Woolly Mammoths. It'll be Jackson Smith doing the catching tonight. Ryan Dobson at shortstop. He's got the most steals in the league, 6 for 6 on the base pass. Batting third, the center fielder, that's number 2, Sonny Cortez, tied for first in the league with 17 hits and has the best batting average at .415. Batting cleanup tonight, the right fielder, the veteran Ethan Whisker, that .318 batting average, good for 7th in the league. He's tied with a few players, but 3rd in the league with 14 hits. Jake Barbie has been turning things around after his slow start to the season. He's now in the top 10 with a .308 batting average on the season. Was 3 for 5 in that non-public game on Tuesday, which will definitely bring up more about in the broadcast, as the Mammoths have not played since Tuesday in the non-public affair, but they put up 16 runs against the first-place Unicorns, a big anomaly in this league thus far. It's been mainly pitching, and it's been all Unicorns, so the Mammoths strung together for 5 home runs on Tuesday, and of course Barbie had one of them. He was 3 for 5 with a home run, a pair of singles, 5 RBIs, so expect to see big things from him as he's tied for first with 10 RBIs in the USPBL this season. Javon Shelby batting 6th. He's at second base tonight. Ryan Rivera, he's in left, batting 7th. Stephen Wells Jr., the designated hitter, batting in the 8th spot, and then Steve Pasquale at 3rd tonight, rounding out the Westside lineup. And then on the other end of it, Eastside coming in at 6-6, as they have Pat Adams, who has just been dominant, the local product out of Warren, Michigan, out of De La Salle High School, Macomb Community College, and Wayne State University. He's got a .386 batting average on the season already for Eastside. That, of course, just second to Sonny Cortez. But batting second, Freddie Geely, another hometown kid from your hometown there in Troy, Leo, as it'll be Wesley Jones, the third baseman, batting third. Brian Davis, the designated hitter, batting in the cleanup spot. Bryce Peterson, the right fielder, he's batting 5th. Zachary Gray, the first baseman, he's batting 6th tonight. Thomas Lukongo doing the catching behind the dish, he's batting 7th. Joey Radzewski in left field in the 8th spot. And then Kevin Watley, the 2018 USPBL Defensive Player of the Year, rounding out the Eastside lineup. So we've heard about the pitchers. We talked about both the starting lineups, Leo, as we do have a little bit of time as the Eastside lineup is getting announced there on the third base side. Do me a favor, take a look through the 18 names that we just ran through and pick a stick for tonight's contest, and I will do the same, and we'll see who fares better at the end of this one.
For me, it's going to have to be Ethan Whisker of the Mammoths, so I'm going to go with the Mammoths, the away team. Ethan Whisker last week hit .556 and is currently riding a 7-game hitting streak. The USPBL Player of the Week last week. I watched him for a few years at Hillsdale College. Of course, also the USPBL Co-Player of the Year last year, so the best offensive player. I'm going to have to go with him.
It's not a bad pick. So you took a Mammoth. I'm going to take a Hopper, of course. And the easy decision would be Pat Adams, but I want to go wild card here. We're going to go after him. We're going to go Freddie Geely in the 2 spot. He was batting in the 9th spot last night against the Unicorns, was 0 for 3 with a walk, but he's put up in that 2 spot. Maybe he feels a little bit more confident. We'll see how he can fare, as I'll take Geely. But overall, we're just about ready for the national anthem down on the field as we are getting ready for some Saturday night baseball. Once again, WCSX Classic Rock Saturday, also Girl Scout Night presented by the Girl Scouts of Southeast Michigan. We're excited for all the festivities tonight as it is a perfect night for baseball. Not too sunny out, but the heat is there. 77, partly cloudy, in Utica. Can't ask for much more than that. Gary Wagenschutz, our home plate umpire. Jim Mulick is our base umpire. And we are just about ready for first pitch. We'll take a quick break, head down to the field for the national anthem. And when we come back, we'll have first pitch from Jimmy John's Field on this gorgeous Saturday night. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel.
At this time, ladies and gentlemen, we ask that you please rise, remove your hats. Veterans and active military may keep your hats on while rendering the hand salute as we honor America and our military with the singing of our national anthem, sponsored by the Detroit Medical Center DMC and performed tonight by the Symphonia Chorale.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rich Borland, Leo Ortel with you. It's a tremendous night for baseball. We're excited for this one. Noah Goetze getting ready to make his fourth start of the season. Just a 1.29 ERA through 14 innings pitched. Hopper's got a good one out there on the bump to start this night. Overall, if you hadn't heard it in the pregame show, he's got a two-seam fastball that he likes to throw a lot, 36% of the time. A changeup that he'll mix in just as much as that two-seam at 34%. A curveball to mix in at 18%. And he'll occasionally toss that cutter in on the hands of the lefties. Not a bad day to have him up there on the plate out there on the bump as the Mammoths, taking a quick look, they have, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lefties out of 9 in the lineup. So we'll see how the right-hander Goetze fares in this one. He's been tremendous. You mentioned it in the pregame show, Leo. 147 strikes to just 48 balls thrown on the season. 75% of the time staying in that zone. And also on first pitches. 70% of the time he throws a leadoff strike against the hitters. So if you're the Mammoths, you got to be ready early and often in this contest. The Hoppers in their alternate black unis. Normally the home team supporting the white jerseys, but not this evening. Hoppers going all black, as the sun is, for the most part, non-existent tonight, but not needed with the high 70 temperatures. Mammoths in their away blue uniforms. Leo, you've been here throughout the entire season with me, calling every single game here. So far, your thoughts on these two teams? Obviously, both not where they want to be, but in terms of the bright spots, what are some of the stuff that these fans can look for, what they'll see tonight? Yeah, definitely look for another good start from Goetze. He did have only a three-inning outing his last time out there, which was against the Mammoths. But look for him to maybe go 6 or 7 in this one. And then look out for the offense of the Mammoths. 5 home runs, like you mentioned, Rich,
against the Unicorns in their last game, so look for them to offensively have another good game, but the offense for the Hoppers definitely needs to get it going. And then it will be interesting to see what we see from Brian Quillens. We haven't really seen much of him this year, just 2 innings. So definitely we'll look for what he can do out there on the mound. It should be exciting.
So it'll be Jackson Smith, Ryan Dobson, Sonny Cortez due up for Westside to start off this one. Just Jackson Smith, the Salem, Oregon native out of Corbin University, trying to get things going for Mark Wiedemeyer's staff. This first pitch at 7:06 p.m. Partly cloudy, 77 degrees here in Utica. Smith takes ball 1 up and away as a backdoor breaking ball. Looked to be that curve in at 83. Called strike 1 on the backdoor of Smith. Evens the count up at 1-1. Goatse's a guy who likes to work quick as he will stick around the strike zone for most of the game. Told you the Mammoths coming off their best game of the season. It was that non-public game on Tuesday against the first-place Unicorns where they won 16-2. Jackson Smith, a big part of that, up at the top of the order with a 2-for-5 night, a home run and a single with 2 RBIs and 2 runs scored. Nothing doing here. 1-2 pitch fouled up and out of play to our left.
Yeah, Smith had a good game his last game in that non-public game. 2 RBIs, a home run, a pair of hits, so pretty slow start to the season for Smith, who's now in his 2nd year here in the league, but has picked it up with the bat lately. You typically don't see a leadoff hitting catcher, but Mark Wiedemeyer elects to go with him in the 1 spot here again today.
And Jackson Smith, not your conventional catcher. He's a very skinny individual. He's got plenty of speed. And my favorite thing about him is he's going old school, always has, at least here in the USPBL. The no batting glove approach. Got to love it. Hopefully he's got some pine tar on that bat. But he fouls off another one, 3rd consecutive for Jackson Smith. Count even at 2-2. Goatse's told you he hasn't pitched in a long time. He hasn't pitched since the 26th of May. So we'll see if the long time in between starts will affect him this evening, as Jackson Smith not only with a great at-bat to start the night as he takes the count at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th pitch of the at-bat into right field, shallow for the first hit of the day as Dobson standing in. He, like Smith, had a great night on Tuesday, 3 for 5, 3 singles, a run, RBI, a walk, also struck out. Dobson on the season, .318 batting average, tied for 7th in the USPBL, tied for 3rd with 14 hits, but the kicker for Dobson, as he looks at ball 1, 6 for 6 on the base paths for number 6. So definitely want to keep him off of the base paths, and with his speed, even a hard hit ground ball, not a guarantee for a double play with him standing in there and right on cue. They'll try and probably go to 1 with it as Smith getting into second base quickly. Dobson is retired via the 4-3 putout for out number 1, but the out doesn't go unnoticed. Gets the runner into scoring position, and in the end, that is the objective. Get him on, get him over, and get him in. As we see Sonny Cortez, who's had a tremendous season with Westside so far this year, the San Pedro, California native, standing in from the left side with that count at .415 batting average. Good for first in the league. Ready to continue his onslaught at the plate this season. We'll see what Goatse's can do about it as the first pitch, breaking ball, missing upstairs at 82. Goatse's leaves it up.
And Cortez played baseball last summer with the Bakersfield Train Robbers. Of course, Brian Kluppy, the assistant manager of the Mammoths, bringing him over. A great season for the Train Robbers, hitting .393, so picking up where he left off last year and trying to make his way into affiliated ball for the first time.
Yeah, Cortez, I mean, he's pretty much got it all in what you want in a baseball player. Outside of the power, haven't been able to see him leave the park yet this year, but, I mean, you got 17 hits so far in this season through your first 11 games. It's a recipe for success, and part of the reason he's batting in this 3-hole for Mark Wiedemeyer as the 1-1 pitch fouled off to our left out of play. Second 1-2 count that Goatse's has been able to get to in this inning. Mentioned how he throws plenty of strikes. He's got only 2 3-0 counts this year. against hitters, and both of the times he got in that 3-0 count, he had 2 strikes. And in total, he's only had 9 pitches this year with a 3-ball count in them, whether it was 3-0, 3-1, 3-2. So a guy who does not get behind often and for the most part takes care of the opposition with ease as he's ready for the 2-2 now. Missed that one upstairs. Cortez, calm, cool, collected at the plate. This one could be an inning-ending double play, and in fact it will. Cortez with a good piece of contact, just hit right at Freddie Geely. Kevin Watley, the heads-up shortstop, going to cover second and catches Smith off guard as that one will get Goatsies out of the inning in order unconventionally. We head to the home half of the first. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. We're halfway through the first. Rich Borland, Leo Ortel with you. Not a bad start to the night for Noah Goatsies. 14 pitches against the three batters that he had faced. Allowed the single to lead off the game off the bat of Jackson Smith, but a ground out and then a line out to Freddie Geely ended the frame with the 4-6 put out to end it. As Jackson Smith was caught off guard on the base pass with that line out. Pat Adams, Freddie Geely, Wesley Jones due up for Eastside as Adams swings through the first offer he sees from the right-hander Brian Quillens. Second pitch swinging. Great read there from Dobson. Saw the hops going. The stretch at first from Barbie, not good enough as Adams, continuing his hot start to the season, was tied for first in the league with 17 hits coming into play tonight, but that one will give him the league lead now with 18. Pat Adams hitting .386 coming into play tonight, second in the league, as we'll see what Freddie Geely can do out there in the left-handed batter's box.
Yeah, definitely a tough play there for Dobson. Did play the bounce well, but has to know that Pat Adams does have some speed. Probably should have charged that ball. Looks like Geely's going to try to advance the runner right here.
So he lays one down, testing the fielding abilities of Quillens, but it looks as if Brian ready to go there. Good job from Geely to get the sacrifice bunt down as out number one is recorded. But Adams getting over there to second. Get him on, get him over, get him in. We said that in the top of the first. Mammoths got the first two checked off the list, but could not get him in after that inning-ending double play. We'll see if Pat Adams can come in to score the first run of this contest. Wesley Jones now standing in. Jones having a good year, 288 batting average coming into play tonight. Was 2 for 3 last night with a pair of singles. Also drove in a run with a sacrifice flyout. Javon Shelby over there at second as another grounder over there to the right side allows Adams to get into third as Jones, victim number 2 of the home half of the first. So an opportunity for Brian Davis, just needs a single to drive in the first run of this ball game. We'll see if he can manage that as he was batting in the 7th spot last night against the Unicorns. Went 1 for 3 with a single and a walk, but a tough start offensively on the year for Davis, batting just 109 with 5 hits through the first 13 games on the season. Batting from the left side is Davis. Down in the count, 0-1 to start. Swings through that 0-1 pitch. Looked as if it got a piece of him, as I thought it might have hit the bat since it ricocheted so fast, but maybe got a piece of a little bit of both, the bat and the body.
Yeah, maybe did hit his hand partially on that one, but an aggressive approach so far from this Hoppers team. You saw Wesley Jones swing at the first pitch, and Brian Davis already in a hole here, 0-2, just trying to drive that run in, which the Hoppers did not do so well with runners in scoring position last night.
Pat Adams about halfway down the line with the shift on to Brian Davis. You see the third baseman, that of course Steve Pasquale, he's playing where the shortstop should be. You got Dobson square up the middle, and then Shelby out there in shallow right field, not even right center. He's playing well deep on Davis. Sort of that approach you see against left-handed designated hitters in Major League Baseball. But Adams, I mean, he's literally halfway to home, and he's got no one near him. And, yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Quillens notices, so he wants to make sure Adams is noticed over there at third, because I'll tell you right now, Adams gets a good secondary lead, and that ball gets enough of away from Jackson Smith. You better believe it. Adams is going to try his best to come and force a run in. Davis down 0-2. Here comes Adams, and you look at that. I spoke it into existence. The Hoppers thinking that that ball was going to be in the dirt, and unfortunately, the gamble does not work for Eastside as Adams is caught stealing in between third and home. We're scoreless after 1. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. We're through 1 at Jimmy John's Field. Rich Borland, Leo Ortzel with you. Just 8 pitches for Brian Quillens in the home half of the first. Both pitchers allowing leadoff singles, but facing technically the minimum. Brian Davis was out there trying to make something happen, but Pat Adams aggressively trying to steal home as the strategy did not bode well for Paul Nochi and company. But in the end, it's still early. Plenty of time to make up for it, as it'll be Ethan Whisker, Jake Barbie, Javon Shelby, the right fielder, first baseman, and second baseman, up for the Mammoths in this frame. And Noah Goetzies showing no mercy on the 1-1 pitch. Breaking ball swung on right above as Whisker down in the count quickly, 1-2. Another breaking ball from Goetzies. This one you could tell the grip sort of loosened up on that one, hung up inside the strike or inside of the plate as the count evens up at 2-2. Another breaking ball, 3 in a row to Whisker. Simply unfair, as completing the strikeout is Lukongo in the books. The K2-3 is recorded. We'll see what Jake Barbie can do. One of the bright spots here in this lineup between him, Dobson, Cortez, and Whisker. They've been playing well as of late. Mentioned Barbie with that .308 batting average coming into play tonight. 10th in the league, 3rd with the .538 slugging percentage. And he's tied for first with 10 RBIs, tied for 3rd with 4 doubles. So a guy who likes to hit extra base hits. As he looks at called strike 1, looked to be the cutter.
Yeah, and a great game for him last game, which was that non-public game back on Tuesday. He had 5 RBIs, 3 hits, 2 runs scored, and also his first home run of the season.
As he looks at ball 1, evens that count up at 1-1. Barbie out of Statesville, North Carolina. Barbie, a second-year player with Westside, played at Liberty University. As he looks at ball 2, good hitters count coming up for the left-hander. No wind in Utica at the moment. As you can see that flag in center field not moving an inch. As I'll be honest, I'm pretty fair-skinned, so I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of the sun, but this for me is a perfect night. It's high 70s, the sun is down. You really can't ask for much more than this, as these two teams trying to turn the slow start to the season around. And even though the Eastside Diamond Hoppers in second place, they sit at 500. So you take the good with the bad. In the end, everybody makes the playoffs, as we have a little break in the action. For those that don't know, maybe some parents or relatives listening on the YouTube channel for some first-year players. When this season is all said and done, the regular season, mind you, the team that ends up in 4th place still does make the playoffs, but they have a long road, as the team that finishes in last plays the team in 3rd place. Those two, loser, season over. Winner gets to move on to tomorrow, which would be, of course, the team that plays the team that finishes in 2nd place, and then so on and so forth. The winner of that goes on to play in the championship on the Sunday, where the team who finishes in 1st place gets all the street cred, and they won't have to play anything and automatically get a bid into the championship and have all the pitching that their heart can desire. As Barbie's worked the full count, upstairs fastball, looks like it might stay in play, but not if the wind has anything to say about it, as this one will in fact get behind the protective netting and into the stand. So good at-bat thus far for Barbie with the 6 pitches, forcing Goetzies to work extra in this one. Whisker, even though he struck out, he forced 5 pitches. So you're seeing Goetzies having to work a little extra tonight compared to what we normally see, a low pitch count affair with plenty of strikes, as the payoff pitch about to ensue. Here it comes. Breaking ball dropped in there for called strike 3. Barbie knew it immediately. And back-to-back strikeouts for Goetzies, his first 2 of the night. See if he can strike out the side, but not if Javon Shelby has anything to say about it. The second baseman tied for 2nd in the league, just the 2 home runs with a couple of players, but overall 10 runs scored, which is tied for 2nd. He's got a .526 slugging percentage, which is good for 4th here in the league.
And Goetzies looking strong so far with the back-to-back strikeouts. You saw him with that off-speed pitch offering. Goes with the curveball on the 3-2 count. And Goetzies not with the best arm necessarily out there as far as miles per hour with his fastball. More of a finesse type of guy, but a strike thrower that has that ability to go off-speed even with 3 balls in a count. He
kind of has everything you want to see normally in a left-hander at this level. He's got, like you said, more of a dicey kind of guy where he can really put it where he wants. Doesn't overpower the opponents, but effective enough to get the job done, as that 84-mile-an-hour pitch missing in the dirt. Tommy Lukongo, one of the hardest working players in this league. Technically the only registered catcher on this Eastside roster. Brian Davis played a little bit at Florida A&M in college and had to catch a couple of games last weekend because Lukongo had a little bit of a knee issue as that pitch fouled off to our right. Evens the count up at 2-2. Goatse's trying to strike out this side. Taking a look at his past games this year, he had 6 strikeouts in his debut on the 12th of May, 5 on the 19th, but just 2 in those 3 innings back on the 26th. That pitch just missing that outside black. Javon Shelby kind of freezing up on it, but ends up getting the call in his favor. Works the count full. Goatees coming back with it. The payoff pitch. Likes to go to that breaking ball. Sort of evident here tonight when he gets that full count. Looks as if he's got complete control with that one.
Yeah, not necessarily going with the fastball in those situations. Usually he doesn't want to leave something over the heart of the plate, and he's got enough confidence to not only throw his curveball effectively, but also throw it in the strike zone effectively.
We'll see if he goes back to it here or maybe back to the fastball. This one, 89 miles an hour. Javon Shelby, though, well out in front of it as that one goes into the left field patio. So you just saw a couple of breaking balls, and then he's early on the fastball. If I'm Goatse's, I'm thinking probably try and freeze him with the curveball, and if you get beat, you get beat. Shelby does have 2 home runs on the year, and here it comes. And there it is. There's the breaking ball, but it's left upstairs. Goatse's really wanted it, but could not bring it down enough, so the 2-out walk is recorded. Mentioned how walks, something that Goatse's does not often allow, just the 1 walk through 14 innings coming into play tonight, accompanied by the 13 strikeouts. So something that does not happen too often occurring here. Shelby over there on the first base bag so far this season doesn't have any stolen base attempts, but maybe with 2 outs he'll try and do something here. Is Ryan Rivera showing bunt with 2 outs? Another thing you don't see all too often is Wesley Jones, the third baseman, thinking about coming in, but he's staying put for the most part. It's Jones, Watley, Geely, and Gray in the infield for Eastside. Radzuski, Adams, Peterson, left to right in the outfield. Of course, mentioned Lukongo, the battery mate of Goatse's, as the 0-1 pitch swung on early, fouled off the bat, and then the leg of Rivera. So a favorable count for Goatse's in this position. Maybe go to the elevated fastball just above the strike zone to try and mess with that eye level of Rivera.
And he's had a couple of 3-ball counts in a row, so he has been not only pitching behind, but in some counts that aren't necessarily favorable for pitchers, favorable here.
Backdoor breaking ball. A little bit of a bump in the road for Gray as he makes his way down the line to get that ball as he corrals it and retires Rivera. Unassisted put out, good enough for out number 3. Goatse's allows the 2-out walk, but gets 2 strikeouts in the second inning. We head to the home half. Brian Davis coming up to the plate for Eastside. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. to the home half of the second. Rich Borland, Leo Ortel with you. First pitch swing is Brian Davis, but would you look at that? The shift coming into play perfectly. It's like these guys play each other all year long or something. Davis is retired on the first pitch that he sees on the 4-3 putout. He had worked a 1-2 count in that home half of the first inning before Pat Adams was caught stealing in between third and home. But in this turnaround, Davis is retired. Bryce Peterson now standing in, and Brian Quillen's working effectively. Just 9 pitches through the first 4 outs, looking sharp in his first start of the season as, Jackson Smith getting crossed up on that pitch. And you could tell as Gary Wagenschutz, the home plate umpire, just tried to throw him a ball to go back to the pitcher's mound, but he didn't even catch that. So Smith caught a little off guard there, and unfortunately that does happen sometimes, but the beauty of communication is getting solved right now. And we mentioned Quillen's having just the 1 outing thus far, and it was just 2 innings. So trying to get into the hang of things in terms of the managerial aspect of the command tonight. That game that Quillen's did pitch in, it was just 2 innings against these Diamond Hoppers back on the 29th of May. This ball chopped to the right side, the 1-0 pitch, and Shelby staying busy here in this home half of the second. Quickly, 2 up and 2 down. And Leo, you mentioned it in the break. Quillen's, the repertoire says 4-seam, 2-seam slider. Both of his fastballs look pretty sharp, and when they're that good, you don't really need much else.
Yeah, he's definitely got a good fastball, sitting around 93, 94 right now, and most of the guys here in the USPBL, the hitters, are used to seeing 89 and 90. Typically, you'll see a few guys throwing 94, 95, but pretty good arm here in the USPBL of Brian Quillen's.
Yeah, and most of the guys that can hit the mid-90s are relievers as well, so seeing that firsthand at the beginning of the ball game, something that it might take a couple of tries through the order to get a hold of something, as the 0-1 to Zach Gray misses inside. Gray batted in the cleanup spot last night, getting moved down 2 positions. Was 1 for 3 with a single and a walk. Did strike out, though, as he's trying to avoid that here as he swings through the 1-1. Zachary Gray on the season for Eastside, batting just .229, 11 hits in 48 at-bats. One of those guys that has started in all 13 games as the 1-2 pitch. You see the placement there from Quillen's well inside, and if you can keep the inner and outer thirds of the plate at a consistent level, you're going to have success when you can throw it in the mid-90s as well. So be honest with you, if you're an infielder for Westside, stay on your toes tonight because you're going to stay busy. Quillen's, though, looking for his first strikeout of the night. We'll see if he gets it here. The 1-2 pitch. Backdoor breaking ball looked good as he decides to bring that slider in, but it just misses that outer third of the plate, so the count even at 2-2. Great eye from Gray, as I was shocked he wasn't rung up. 2-2 from Quillen's, popped up into shallow left center field. Looks like Dobson has a beat on it, makes the catch for the third and final out. Perfect inning for Quillen's. He retires the side in order. We're through 2 at Jimmy John's Field. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. We're through 2 at Jimmy John's Field. Rich Borland and Leo Ortel with you. Stephen Wells Jr. with the first crack of the bat on the first pitch he sees, and Kevin Watley trying to make another highlight reel play. Slid up the middle right behind the second base bag, spun around, threw it over to first, but his first baseman, Zach Gray, could not help him out. That's a tough spot there for Eastside, as their star defender almost had another web gem, but couldn't complete it there. Stephen Wells Jr. is going to end up reaching, and that's a tough one for Watley as well. I wonder if they mark it a knock or an error, and in fact they do give him a hit. I respect that.
Yep.
Because, Watley, he's been tremendous with the glove, and an unfair spot there as Gray could not come down with it, but with how far he had to lay out for that, the Hoppers are just happy he kept it in the infield at that point, as Steve Pasquale fouls off the first try he sees.
Great effort there for Watley. Kind of like nothing I've ever seen before either. He kind of rolled over, kind of tumbled rather than dove, but heck of an effort there for that 2018 USPBL Defensive Player of the Year. And Steve Pasquale, who played for the Bakersfield Train Robbers, you saw him try to lay down that bunt in that first pitch that he saw, now swinging away. But we mentioned before, a couple of guys on this roster playing for the Train Robbers who were managed by Brian Kluppy, the assistant manager now for the Woolly Mammoths, so he brought them over after winning the Pecos League Championship last year. So pretty cool story for a couple of guys that were already coached by Brian Kluppy.
So the count 0-2 on Steve Pasquale. This one lined into left center field. Big time mistake from Goatsies as Wells Jr. stays at second. So back-to-back singles for Westside, giving them some life here in this top of the third. We'll see what they can do back at the top of the order. This is exactly what you want if you're Mark Wiedemeyer. You get your 2 men on and your 8th and 9th hitters, which we haven't been able to say all that often this year for any team. But overall, good start here in this top of the third inning with Jackson Smith coming up to the plate. He's got 1 of the 3 hits, so all 3 Mammoths in that quadrant on the field are the men with singles so far tonight, as Goatsies tries to get that backdoor cutter in the zone. Can't find it there. It's 1-0 on Smith. 1 for 1 with that single that started this game off.
And I was just going to say, it's going to be interesting to see whether Mark Wiedemeyer goes with the approach of the sack bunt to advance the runners, but Jackson Smith already with that base hit, hitting in the 1 spot here. Looks like he's going to be swinging away.
And in fact, he is. Ground ball to the right side. Kind of eats up Freddie Geely, but man, he's got some of the quickest hands I've ever seen, at least in the USPBL, and he made it evident there. Kind of had a quick hop, kind of grab him, but he realized it without even thinking about it, brought that glove up to block it, and retired Steve Pasquale at the second base bag via the 4-6 force out. Smith reaching on the fielder's choice. Runners now on the corners for Ryan Dobson, the man who leads the league with 6 stolen bases, and he's perfect on the base pass. Not doing too shabby up at the plate either. 318 coming into play today. Mentioned, tied for third with those 14 hits on the season thus far. Goatsies looking desperately for some type of double play. Won't get it here as this one hit into left. Back there is Ridzuski. Coming in to score with ease is Stephen Wells Jr. So that's the first run of the contest. Gives the Mammoths the early 1-0 lead. Dobson records the sacrifice flyout to drive in the first run of the game. Sonny Cortez, the bread and butter of this lineup, coming in now. He's first in a lot of offensive categories so far this year.
Yeah, leads the league in batting average, entering the ballgame at .415, also on base percentage with the .556 mark, so gets on base over 50% of the time. Hasn't driven in a ton of runs, but he was hitting in the 1 and 2 spots earlier in the season, and now Mark Wiedemeyer has moved him into the 3 spot pretty consistently here to try to get him some more chances to drive in runs.
Yeah, he's came in to score 16 times, which is just unfathomable. That's good enough for first in the league as well. So first in batting average, first in runs scored, first in on-base percentage with .556. Tied for first coming into tonight with 17 hits, but Pat Adams with that single in the first have him out in front. So Cortez trying to match him here as Jackson Smith over there on first base. He's 0 for 1 on the base paths this year, but does have the speed to do it as this breaking ball, 80 miles an hour, let go there by Cortez. It's 1-1.
Yeah, it's been a kind of tough outing so far for Goatsies. He does have a couple of strikeouts, but not maybe throwing as many strikes as he would have liked to. A pretty tough inning for him here with a few hits and just good situational hitting by the Mammoths.
As the 1-1, another off-speed pitch at 80, fouled off there by Cortez. And you mentioned that, Leo. I mean, taking a look at the 3 other starts for Goatsies this year, they were all spread out via a week, 7 days. He went on 5/12, 5/19, 5/26, but he hasn't pitched since then. So maybe the little bit of, non-active, non-live work is getting to him here a little bit.
Yeah, and not a very long start for him in his last start back on the 26th against the Mammoths. He threw just 3 innings, and it wasn't a bad start, just 3 hits, the 1 earned run. It was the rain out game, I believe, but hasn't got a lot of work recently, and I'm sure he's thrown quite a few bullpens since then, but it's just definitely not the same when you're not facing live hitters. It's a lot harder to just go out there and have some guy just standing at the plate that is trying to hit the ball as hard as he can against you.
Not an easy feat here with Sonny Cortez up at the plate, so even though the Mammoths sit at 3-8, they do have a lot of talent offensively this year. It's just been the pitching and the defense that has not been yet up to par. As Sonny Cortez will get rung up on strikes. That's Goatsies counted 3rd strikeout of the evening, as the Mammoths do get 1 run on 2 hits in that top of the 3rd. We head to the home half. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. We're through 2.5 at Jimmy John's Field. Rich Borland, Leo Ortel with you as we head to the home half of the 3rd. Out there for his 3rd inning of work, Brian Quillens looking sharp in this one. 17 pitches through the first 2 frames. Count him, 14 of those for strikes as Lukongo starts his first at-bat of the night off with 2 pitches that missed the zone. So Quillens, 3rd time around in this one, starting off the inning with 3 straight balls. Not something that we are used to hearing with him out there on the bump. Has not allowed a walk yet today. He's faced the minimum, even though he allowed the single to start his night off the bat of Pat Adams.
Yeah, he's pitched really well so far. We didn't have a big sample size on him coming into this outing, but he's been effective so far. Not a lot of base runners, but Tommy Lukongo will take the free pass here.
The first blemish on the mark on the night for Brian Quillens. Lead-off walk. They're never good, as Lukongo will reach base safely on 4 straight pitches. The one benefit, I guess, if you're Westside in this situation, is Lukongo's probably the slowest guy in this lineup. Not trying to take anything away from Tommy, but, I mean, he's got a really stealthy approach to the game, and I guess speed is the one factor that he does not have. As Ridzuski standing in now, he looks at a ball, so now 5 straight to start this inning. Jackson Smith, the veteran Mammoth, going out there to try and slow things down. Mammoths have the 1-run lead. They were in the dugout for a little bit longer than they had prior to that inning, so maybe a little bit more rest. Took some stamina away from the right-hander, but you got to tread on and continue in this contest as he's dealing with the bottom of the order in this home half of the third. 1-0 pitch, that one missing upstairs. So quickly, things not looking all that up for Quillens, but the beauty of the game, he could get a ground ball that could get the first 2 outs on just the 1 pitch. Ridzuski, see if he elects to look at it. Smart decision there. So now 7 straight here to start this frame. Got to slow things down if you're Quillens, as his second baseman Shelby going out there to get him out of this funk.
I really didn't have any problems in the first and second innings. Had a pair of strikeouts, and actually that was Goetze. He does not have a strikeout yet, but has faced the minimum up until this inning. There was the 1 base runner when Pat Adams had that infield single, so fastball command's not looking too good here for Quillens.
And there you go, right on cue. Back-to-back 4-pitch walks. Not an ideal sign whatsoever, as going out there now is Brian Kluppe, the assistant manager of these Westside Woolly Mammoths, and it's a tough situation to be in. I mean, you got the 1-0 lead. Still early in this ball game. Quillens had looked like a whole different person through the first 2 innings, but here in this third, I mean, the struggle is mighty, and all you can really do is go out there, tell them what everyone else knows. Throw strikes. Get the forcing of the swings of the bats so your defenders behind you can do something for you, as looks as if corners are going to be in here, at least even. It looks as if Barbie is playing in. Pasquale over there at third base, he's even with the line, as Dobson and Shelby up the middle, for the most part, playing at normal depth, maybe a little bit more in than normal, as you see something right there, Leo. You get the pickup of the leg from Quillens. Yes, there's runners on, but that was not the reason, and he actually got what he wanted out of it. He saw that Watley showed bunt, so he's expecting a bunt here in this situation, but Watley takes the first pitch for a strike. So a little chess match here between Quillens and Watley, is Paul Noche, the manager in the third base coach's box, giving signs, so maybe they'll try it this time around on the 0-1. Watley struggling at the plate, batting just .217, and here he does now show bunt. This one popped up into the protective netting behind home plate, so got to imagine that Watley's going to be given the green light in this situation, as he cannot get the job done with the sacrifice. And they needed it there. No outs. Would have had runners on second and third with 1 out if everything went according to plan. But now Quillens with an opportunity to get his first strikeout of the day. Watley batting from the right side. The quick look to second. Breaking ball. Looked good. Saw a little flinch there from Gary Wagenschutz behind the home plate, but won't call it here, as that one, you see the right hand go out there, apparently just missing outside. The count 1-2. So Watley stays alive for at least 1 more. Runners on the base paths, Lukongo, Ridzuski, both reaching on 4-pitch walks. As this one in the dirt, good job from Smith, at least keeping it in his vicinity, as it just trickled through the legs, but got enough of him to stay right around home plate. But a better job from Watley to lay off of that breaking ball. Quillens, you see him not throwing the off-speed stuff too much, as you see the 2-2 coming here. Got to imagine he's going to go back to the fastball. And there it is at 92. Watley gets just enough of it to stay alive.
And this is a good comeback at bat here for Quillens after walking 2 straight, attacking the strike zone. He was able to get to the 0-2 count, throw a couple of waste pitches, but now Kevin Watley putting together a pretty good at bat here, which we haven't seen too much from the Hoppers lineup so far.
And look at that. Watley rung up on strikes here, so Quillens gets strikeout number 1 of the night, and he needed it more than ever in that situation after back-to-back 4-pitch walks to lead off this home half of the third, as time being called by, I think, either Jackson Smith or Brian Quillens, but looks as if now with my buddy Josh heading out, there it is, need a little bit of chalk. So here's the thing, what I'm starting to realize, yes, high 70s, but not a lot of sun, like we mentioned. First 2 innings, smooth sailing for Quillens. Maybe the third time around, starting to get a little sweaty. Maybe not as good a grip on that ball. So the chalk now out there, and we'll see if the command goes back to what we were used to seeing through the first 2 frames with a little bit better grip on the baseball. And there it is. Slowed it down a bit on that fastball at 88, but Adams looks at called strike 1 as we go back to the top of the Eastside order. Mentioned Adams with that stellar .386 batting average coming into play tonight. Already 1 for 1. Nobody better that you want up at the plate as this one. Back up the middle past the diving Javon Shelby. Rounding third, headed for home is Lacongo. Cortez with the toss. Won't be in there in time, even if Barbie did not cut it off, as the leadoff man, Pat Adams, getting it done again. RBI single. Ties this one up at 1. Great job there with his second hit of the night.
A great approach there, right up the middle, seeing eye single into center for Pat Adams. Ties the ball game right there. Pat Adams, who has been producing for the team all year long, gets it done after a tough game last night. He did reach base twice via the walk, but 0 for 3, so good to see him already with a multi-hit game through his first 2 at-bats.
So here comes Freddie Geely. Laid down the bunt in that first inning via the sacrifice. Didn't bode well as Adams was then later caught stealing at home. But great opportunity now for number 44. The 1-0 swung on. 92-mile-an-hour fastball swung through. Evens the count up at 1-1. Geely mentioned, second-year player coming to us from Siena Heights. Batting from that left side. A guy who's got those quick hands defensively as well as up at the plate. Well known for the contact is Geely as he gets the try here in this second spot in the lineup this evening. My pick the stick contestant, as he, of course, was batting in the 9th spot last night against Utica. Looks at ball 2, so a good hitter's count in this position. Quillen's going to have to be careful. Don't want to leave anything too far over the heart of the plate. That one missing inside. Looked as if it almost got a piece of Geely, but it does not. Goes past Smith behind home plate, and everybody moving up 90 feet. So not only is the double play out of contention, but now instead of runners on first and second, just a base knock could possibly drive in 2 for Eastside.
Yeah, and Geely already got things done with the sack bunt. Not sure if we'd see that maybe in this situation. It is a good 3-1 count for him, but Geely, despite an 0 for 3 night last night, did almost hit one out, hit one to the warning track in right field, so might try to see him elevate the ball to try to score that runner on third.
This one low, looked like it was going to be ball 4, but Geely trying to make something happen with those 2 runners on as he fouls that one off. Brings the count now full. Can Quillens get strikeout number 2 in the inning? Desperately needs no contact, because if the ball gets out of the infield, it's almost a guarantee that a run is going to come in to score. Radzewski over there on third, waiting to come home as you see the infield creeping in now. As Geely fouls off the pitch as it remains full. Geely, the beer batter of the game, for anybody listening in the suites or down in the bathrooms on the concourse. If you hear a roar from the crowd, that means that beer is on the way down on that left field concourse area down the third baseline, as you'll have just $5 craft beers for the next inning. As the payoff pitch comes, misses inside, And that's the third walk of the inning for Quillens, who was looking really sharp through the first 2 innings, but seeing bump in the road here in this home half of the third, but still room to work with as it's just 1-1, and all you need is a ground ball that could lead to 2 or some type of inning-ending double play like he's already been able to get once.
Yeah, and after the 2 back-to-back walks to Lukongo and Radzuski, able to get Watley swinging, he was finding the strike zone not only in that at-bat, but also against Pat Adams, who did single, but he was able to find the strike zone again against Adams, but struggled there against Geely. But Geely did battle really well there, loads up the bases for his team, and brings up a pretty dangerous hitter here with Wesley Jones.
Jones thought about it. Didn't look like he went around from up here, but Jim Mulick, our base umpire tonight, says that he in fact did. Jones not a fan, but either way, got to have that short-term memory in this great game of baseball. Tear that page out of the book and keep on writing. The 0-1 in there. Breaking ball, 81, swung on and missed. So you can tell Jones wasn't happy with the call on the first pitch and trying to make something happen after being made looked at. Instead, it's down now 0-2. Quillens desperately needing to get the out all on his own in this situation with bases loaded. The 0-2. Fastball outside corner at 94 this time. Really tough at-bat there for Wesley Jones. 3 pitches that he didn't have any control over, as a good job from Quillens. Second strikeout of the inning, second strikeout of the game. And I'll tell you what, this now being the 7th batter of the inning, you'll take what you can get if you only give up the 1 run.
Yeah, still a dangerous situation here, but if they can get out here unscathed with just the 1 run in the inning, that would be great news for the Woolly Mammoths, who we know they can score runs but have struggled with pitching. Brian Davis now at the plate has struggled tremendously this season. If you remember last time he was up, it was Pat Adams who was trying to steal home during that at bat. They're playing the shift on Davis again.
The 1-0 to Davis. 93-mile-an-hour fastball, just missing that top left quadrant of the strike zone. So a great hitter's count for Brian Davis, but I'll tell you right here and now, the numbers aren't there for him, so I'd try and maybe take a strike in this one as he looks at the 3rd consecutive ball that misses the zone. So if you're Paul Noce, you have to have Davis lay off here. Would be an absolute just debacle if he takes a swing on the 3-0 with bases loaded. Quillens struggling with already 3 walks in the inning. So he does, in fact, take it. So, and honestly, I might take another one.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
You get 3 for a reason.
Already with the 3 walks, 3-1 count, you got to take here, unless you really see your pitch.
The 3-1. That one is a called strike. You saw Davis kind of back that backside up a bit. Might have been a little inside, but home plate umpire Gary Wagenschutz, well-known name. He knows this field, knows these pitchers, knows the strike zone. Nowhere to put him. Full count, 2 outs, bases loaded, runners on the move. Ground ball to the right side. Barbie at first. He's going to make the play, and the Mammoths somehow get out of this inning, even though Quillens allows 7 batters to reach the plate. We go to the 4th. It's a 1-1 tie. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. To the fourth we go. Rich Borland, Leo Ortel with you as always. Long inning for the Hoppers offensively in that home half of the third, but only one run to show for it as they leave 3 men on base. As Quillens had 3 walks in that third inning, but eventually got out of it with the tie as Ethan Whisker standing in swings right through the 0-1 breaking ball. Another off-speed curveball here, and showing off that arm, Kevin Watley, the chopper, grounded out. The 6-3 putout recorded as Whisker now 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a ground out.
And a tough inning back in the third for Goatsees. Allowed the 1 run on the sac fly after Stephen Wells Jr. and Pasquale reached on back-to-back singles. Threw quite a few pitches last inning, but already with the 1 out here, hopefully he can continue the success that he started back in the first and second. He was looking pretty strong, but the Mammoths have had some good at-bats. They are battling pretty well so far.
First pitch swinging is Barbie. It's hit a mile high, but only about, 80 feet as Geely catches this one just past the baseline. Barbie is retired via the pop out to second, so for as long as the home half of the third went, the top of the fourth could be just a mere couple of minutes as Goatee's doing a good job with 4 straight strikes in this one.
Yeah, and definitely an inning that he needs to have a low pitch count in. Not the best pitch count through 3, especially with the way that he has thrown this year, throwing 75% strikes entering the game. But Mammoths are battling pretty good so far. Not so well in this inning, however.
Yeah, Goatse's coming into this fourth had 50 pitches. It was that long second inning where he threw threw 23 pitches as Shelby swings through the second pitch of the at-bat. Shelby worked the count at 8-pitch walk back in the second, but a different story here. Goatse's looking really sharp as he had a lot of resting time in that home half of the third, but contrary to Quillens, it's looking like it's working here for the right-hander. Breaking ball, front door at 74 miles an hour. Looked at by Shelby. Good eye there from him. Mentioned Goatse's, the right-hander, coming to us from Phoenix, Arizona. Trying to get strikeout count at number 4 on the night, and he gets it. Ends the frame with ease. 3 up, 3 down. We're through 3.5. It's 1-1. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. We are through 3.5 at Jimmy John's Field. Rich Borland and Leo Ortel with you. Brian Quillens back out there for another inning of work. Through 3 innings, mentioned Goatsey's had 50 pitches. Quillen's was at 49, but in total had a 32-pitch inning in the home half of the third, but somehow only allowed the one run, as it'll be Bryce Peterson, Zachary Gray, and Thomas Lacongo due up for Eastside, the 5, 6, 7 hitters. Peterson looks at the second pitch of the at-bat. It is even at 1-1. Quillen's with 29 of his 49 for strikes. Had the 3 walks in that last inning that hurt him, as this ball hit right back up the middle. Sonny Cortez in center field with those quick wheels. Not enough as that ball lined into shallow center. So Peterson with the third hit of the night for Eastside, but the first that isn't named Pat Adams.
A good approach there for Peterson. The Hoppers overall pretty aggressive through the first 2 innings. A different approach last inning as Quillen's was struggling with his control, able to draw 3 walks, but with the bases loaded, not able to string together too many runs, just the 1 run on the single from Pat Adams. So they'll look for a better inning here, maybe try to take the lead.
And the thing that matters most is you got to throw strikes. It's walks that kill you. I mean, just the feeling up here in the booth, we were like, okay, things are starting to kind of slow down, because it does have a trickle-down effect to everything that else that happens. The infielders sort of get more lackadaisical because they're not expecting as much as this one. Taken for a ride. If it's fair, it's gone, but it is nowhere close. That one hit near the wiffle ball field. And yes, for those that don't know, Jimmy John's Field does in fact have an entire wiffle ball field over in the kids zone down in right field. If you haven't been out to the ballpark yet, especially with the family, you have been highly mistaken. It is one of the greatest attractions, not just in the state of Michigan, but in my opinion, in all of baseball.
A lot of stuff to do for the fans, the kids, also the adults. Ton of places to eat around the ballpark. A lot of seating options with all of our suite options, not only above the broadcast booth here, but also at the field level down the first base and third base lines. A great view pretty much from a dugout standpoint, and then also you can't go wrong with a lawn seat as well out in right field.
Just $6 for that, so no excuse to not be able to show up to the park, as this one gets away from Smith, but man, is he quick. Back behind that plate, rips the mask off, gets to the baseball before Bryce Peterson can even think about second base. Peterson on the season, he's 1 for 1 on the base pass, so you know he can do it. With no outs and 2 strikes on Gray, maybe see a little hit and run action as a good lead there for Peterson. Quillen's takes time, and eventually time called from either Gray or Barbie behind the dish. Looked to be Gray. Mentioned Mammoths at 3-8, Hoppers at 6-6. Both teams trying to play catch up to the first place Unicorns, as this one hit to the opposite field. Ryan Rivera at the track, at the wall, and this one's going to get out of here. Home run number 1 on the season for Zachary Gray after the leadoff single from Bryce Peterson. Driven in 2 with 1 swing of the bat, and the Hoppers take the 3-1 lead. First home run given up on the season for Quillen's. Great timing there from Zach Gray, and his second plate appearance of the night was 0 for 1, but a slow night starts off, turns into a good one as the first baseman leaves the yard for the first time this season, drives in 2 as the Hoppers take the 3-1 lead.
Yeah, great at bat there for Gray. We saw him almost go yard down the right field line. It was just foul, but perhaps the pivotal moment in that at bat when he stepped out as Peterson was kind of hopping off the first base bag over there. He kind of just stepped out and reset himself. Really just a great at bat as he goes to the opposite field for his first of the year. 3-1 lead now for the Hoppers.
And I'll tell you right here and now, Leo, I'll be honest, I can't remember if you and I spoke about it prior to the game or not, but I was told at least that this is a split start for the Hoppers, as originally we thought that this game, not today, but yesterday, we were thinking that it was going to be Luis Contreras' night, but I was told just before the game that it's going to be a mix-up between Goatsey's and Contreras. So you're telling me right now that you get a 2-run lead halfway through this ball game, and then Luis Contreras would be coming in to pitch. That sounds like an absolute recipe for success.
Definitely.
For the Eastside Diamond Hoppers as Quillens misses with the 3-1 pitch. And that's going to be counted the now 4th walk of the game allowed from Quillens. There is some action in that right field bullpen. The manager, Mark Wiedemeyer, is going to go to it. So we'll take a quick break, give you Quillen's final line, and then tell you about the man coming in to take his place. It's 3-1 Eastside after that 2-run homer from Zachary Gray. They got nobody out with a base runner on as Lukongo walks on 5 pitches. Take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll give you the scouting report on the man coming in to pitch. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. We come back into this home half of the third. The day is done for Brian Quillens. He goes 3+ innings, allows 3 earned runs on 4 hits. He, of course, in line for the runner on first base in Thomas Lukongo. Rich Borland III and Leo Ortel with you. Clifton Landis III coming in to pitch. Starts Radzewski off with a ball and then finds the strike zone. This one swung on, popped up into shallow left field, basically at the shortstop position, as Ryan Dobson makes the catch with ease. Good enough for out number 1.
Yeah, Clifton Landis III enters this ball game. So far this season, 5 appearances, 4 of them were starts. A 4.74 ERA, 19 innings pitched, 19 hits given up, 10 earned runs, 10 walks, pretty high number in just 19 innings of work, and 13 strikeouts. Opponents are hitting .268 against him. Landis III now in his 2nd season here in the USPBL. 18 games last year for him and just a .365 ERA, but used solely as a relief pitcher as he is coming out of relief once again for the 2nd time this season.
Look at this. Thomas Lukongo on the move, the hit and run working perfectly as Lukongo was going to be given the green light, and a little miscue from Shelby. Wasn't expecting to see Kevin Watley over there at the second base bag, but he ends up getting the double down that left field line. The thing is, though, Paul Noce was waving Lukongo home, but right after he rounded third, he kind of put on the brakes as there is 1 out on the board. So you wouldn't be making the first or third out at the plate, but either way, you got 2 runners on, and we go back to the top of the order. Lukongo trying to score for the 2nd time tonight after a long at bat with his second walk of the evening, but a great spot there from Kevin Watley with the double. Runners now on second and third in this home half of the fourth, and nobody better up at the plate in Pat Adams. And look at that frame job there from Jackson Smith. That one looked as if it was going to miss the zone high, but a textbook approach from Smith behind the plate. Not only did he bring the glove down as that ball kind of came, as he kind of crouched down with it all at once. It was everything you wanted, and you got to be on the top of your game with a guy like Adams up at the plate. Back-to-back breaking balls looked at by the Wayne State product.
Yeah, and already a pair of singles last time back in the third. He drove in a run with a solid single into center, so hot with the stick once again after he was held hitless last night.
So you see the infield in on Adams, as the Mammoths really cannot afford to allow any more runs in this contest. Pat Adams fouling off the 1-1. So a good pitch there from Clifton Landis III. But a big spot right here. Runners on second and third. You really got to force a strikeout or something on the infield grass. But we haven't seen that a lot this year from Pat Adams. Officially on the season, he's got 44 at-bats. Does have 13 strikeouts on the year, which is tied for the team lead with Zach Gray. But that on-base percentage of .526. Just tremendous stuff there from Pat Adams. That's good enough for third in the league. See if he can get on base here and drive in a run. The 2-2 from Landis. Swung on, fouled off into the mid at 88. The fastball too much for Pat Adams, and he does strike out for the second out of the inning as Freddie Geely standing in. Not a bad night. Laid down a sacrifice bunt that ended up going unpunished and then reached down a full count walk just an inning ago. But he's going to try and make something happen here in this instance. Strategically, the inning's going well for the Hoppers. They had the two-run homer from Gray after the leadoff single from Peterson. And then on the double from Watley, Lukonga was running on the pitch. So the hit and run working effectively as well, but still got two Hoppers on the lily pads. Have you heard that one yet, Leo?
That is a good one.
I'm sure your brother Luke would be proud of that one, of course. Your brother, a player with the Hoppers back in year one.
That's right.
As the 0-1 to Geely. Look at that again. Jackson Smith, thank you very much, says Clifton Landis III. Another great frame job. And I'll tell you right here and now, I've seen plenty of action in the USPBL. I don't think anybody does it better than Smith in terms of that conversation. See if he can do it again here on what most likely will be a breaking ball. 86, a little bit taken off there from Clifton Landis III. Good eye from Freddie Geely. Keep the at-bat alive. Infield at regular depth now. The beer batter to the game, trying to make these people happy in the crowd. It's this one, broken bat, goes all the way out to the far part of the infield grass. So some new lumber for Freddie Geely as another trophy in there for Clifton Landis III.
Yeah, and Landis III has done a pretty good job so far since coming out. Got the pop out from Radzuski. Did give up that double to Watley, but then strikes out the best hitter in this Hoppers lineup in Pat Adams. So trying to keep it a 3-1 ball game. He knows his team definitely has the offensive ability to put up a few runs over the next few innings of play, but you definitely would like to keep this a 2-run ball game.
So the new stick picked up there from Geely. No action in the Westside bullpen as Contreras playing a little bit of catch, but I think he's all warmed up, so might be a count it 4-inning affair for Goatsies as 1-2 fouled off. Geely keeping this at bat long, had 7 pitches when he worked the walk back in the third, and already 5 pitches here in this at bat, making Landis work. 2 shakes from Landis, count it 3 now. Gives the nod on the 4th try from Jackson Smith. The 1-2. Backdoor pitch looked good at 87, but it just missed, according to Gary Wagenschutz behind the plate.
Matt Smith trying to use his good framing ability once again. We've seen mainly off-speed pitches that maybe our balls have been called strikes thanks to good frame jobs, but doesn't get the call there from Wagenschutz.
And this one missing low and away, so Geely doing a really good job. Works the full count for the 2nd consecutive at-bat. Doesn't have a lot of size to him, but he can see the ball coming out of Landis' hand really well. You do have first base open, but you want to get out of this inning as quick as you can. This one in on the hands at 76, so continue the day here, Geely making these pitchers work.
Yeah, and he made the starter Quillens work back in the 3rd when he drew that walk. So nothing new that we're seeing here from Geely. Always likes to battle up at the plate. Hasn't led to a ton of success this season, but his on-base percentage is not too bad entering the game at .303 despite the pretty low average at .241.
The payoff pitch again. Back up the middle, almost hitting Clifton Landis as rounding 3rd, headed for home is Watley, and he's going to come in to score standing up. Both Lukongo and him make it in. Count it now. 5 runs in the inning as the Hoppers lead it 6-1.
A great approach there for Geely. Another good long at bat. He was kind of jammed inside, but he's got those quick hands, able to send that single up the middle after he was late on most of his swing attempts, but Landis kind of made a little bit of a mistake. Although it was inside, it was still hung a little bit further over the plate than he would have liked. So great at bat for Geely. 5-1 lead for the Hoppers.
Yeah, my apologies. Got a little too excited there. Said 6-1, but it is in fact 5. Clifton Landis with the 1-0. You see Geely trying to take the bag over there at 2nd on the season. Geely has not had a stolen base attempt, but he definitely has the wheels for it as Jones fouls off the 1-0.
Yeah, definitely surprising to see that he doesn't have any stolen base attempts. We know he has a lot of speed. He was using as that pinch runner back in that game last Sunday when he came around to score on that wild pitch against the Beavers. So we know that he definitely has a lot of speed over there on first.
This ground ball hit hard, and it's right at Shelby at 2nd. Gets the force out committed. Geely's retired as the Hoppers put up a 4 spot in the home half of the 4th. They lead it 5-1. We go to the 5th. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. We go to the fifth. Hoppers with 5 runs through the first 4. They put up a 4 spot in that home half of the fourth, and Noah Goetze's back to work. It'll be Ryan Rivera, Stephen Wells, and Steve Pasquale due up for Westside, as they were looking sharp, had the 1-0 lead in the top of the third, but Eastside coming right back at them with the bats, highlighted by Zachary Gray's 2-run homer, Kevin Watley's double, and then Freddie Geely's 2 RBI single, But Goetze's, who has 58 pitches through the first 4 innings, 40 of them for strikes, 4 strikeouts to just the 1 walk, starts Rivera off with 3 straight balls that miss the zone, gets 1 strike in there, but then ends up missing with ball 4. So something we have not seen yet this year. 2 walks in a game for Goetze's, as we had mentioned, just 1 walk through his first 14 complete innings coming into this matchup tonight. But I definitely think the kind of pause to the 4th start mentioned how he's coming off of just a 3-inning affair, and it was also quite a long time ago on the 26th of May. It's been a minute since Goetze's has seen some live action, but he's got the 4-run lead to work with here in the top of the 5th, and I got to imagine that this is going to be his final inning, as we saw, of course, Luis Contreras getting loose in the bullpen last inning. As we mentioned, they're going to be doing a split start, but Nochi giving the credit to his starter. He's going to allow him to go the 5 innings and, of course, be in line for the victory here tonight, as that's how many innings you need to be in line for the W, as the Hoppers look to stay in the lead for the remainder of this game, as the 0-2 to Wells misses low and away. Good job from Lukongo to keep it in the mitt, not allow Rivera to think about second base, who on the season is 2 for 3 on the base paths. Goetze's the 1-2, swung on and missed from Stephen Wells Jr. Was 1 for 1 with a single, and the only run scored coming into that at-bat, but nothing doing there. Good job from Goetze's to get the first out of the frame, and here comes Steve Pasquale. He, just like Wells, 1 for 1 on the night, so the pair of Steves was 2 for 2 coming into this inning, but we'll see if Pasquale can fare better than Wells here with 1 out and 1 man on. Mammoths need some run support to try and get back into this one. Not sure where that one missed. You saw Pat Adams in center stick those hands up in the air, as he had a pretty good view of it, but either way, leadoff ball thrown here to Pasquale. Good opportunity for a double play, but we'll get to that conversation if we need to, as keeping tabs on Rivera is Goetze's. This one, line into right center field. It's going to get down. Thinking about third was Rivera, but he ends up staying put at second. So the 1-out single is recorded. Good night for Steve Pasquale, who had been batting just .098 this year through 10 games, had just 4 hits through 41 at-bats, trying to do everything he can to, of course, stay in a Westside uniform, as that's the perfect guy to talk about in conversation, as, of course, on Monday we will be having the senior showcase, as, of course, a lot of teams in college baseball now officially said and done. If you're still playing college baseball at the moment, you're very fortunate, of course, playing in the NCAA tournament, but we will be having a lot of college players, or I should say now former college players, showing up here on Monday for a tryout, as we're getting to that point in time of the season where we're going to have those first cuts, as this one flared into center field. Adams ranging in, but it's Watley who comes underneath it. Infield fly rule is in fact called because it went to the infielder Watley, so technically the infield fly rule called out for Jackson Smith for out number 2. Runners, of course, staying put. Dobson now up to the plate, needing to do something, as he did drive in the only run of the ball game with the sacrifice flyout back in the third, but a better opportunity here with 2 men on. could make it a one-run ball game with his first home run of the season, but not sure how much we'll see in terms of power from Dobson this year, but the consistency sure is there as the first pitch breaking ball from Goatse's left inside, Dobson turns away.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned it in a while, but Dobson did play with the Arizona Diamondbacks organization, so some affiliated experience there. 57 games last year and not a ton of power, which is about what we expected. Only one home run in 190 at-bats, but he hit 274. He started off really strong in short A-ball as he hit 363 in the first half of the season. He was then moved up to full A-ball where he struggled, hitting just 192, but did make it up to single A ball. He was a 30th round draft pick by the D-backs and also attended Fresno State before that, so a lot of experience for Dobson, and he's put together a pretty good season so far.
As the 2-0 swung on and missed. Great swing there from Dobson, just couldn't connect on it. So Goatse's trying to end his day on a high note with the 4-run lead, get out of a jam, and call it a day. Mentioned he was just under 60 pitches coming into this fifth inning, and on the season hadn't gone more than 72. This one in on the hands at 87, fouled off, and out of play it goes. Count even at 2-2. Mentioned, of course, Saturday night at Jimmy John's Field. You know what that means. It's a WCSX Classic Rock Saturday. Not only that, but also Girl Scout night here at the ballpark. As, of course, the Girl Scouts of Southeast Michigan in the house. Dobson, though, trying to give the Mammoths their second, maybe third, maybe even fourth runs of the game. So that 2-2 pitch looked real good, but wow. I guess on just a couple of occasions, Gary Wagenschuet's squeezing that outside corner to righties.
And especially with the fastball, most of the borderline strike calls have been given in favor to pitchers. Usually when it's an off-speed pitch, we haven't seen too many fastballs that are maybe just a tad out of the strike zone called in favor of pitchers so far. So Wagenschuet's has remained pretty consistent throughout the game, but that's one maybe that should have gone in favor of Goatse's.
Consistency is the key. We'll see if Goatse's can get out of the jam on the 3-2. It's lifted into right center field. Trying to get underneath it is Peterson. He'll make the catch on the run, and the Hoppers get out of the jam. Goatse's most likely ending his day with the 5-1 lead. We head to the home half of the fifth. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. To the home half of the fifth we go. Hoppers with the 5 spot. Mammoths with just 1. But the Hoppers with 4 in that home half of the fourth. We'll see what Brian Davis can do. The only batter in the lineup tonight that did not have a plate appearance in that home half of the fourth, so he gets things going here in the fifth. Looks at ball one, fouls off the second try. Clifton Landis with 19 pitches coming into relief for, of course, Brian Quillens, the starter, as the one misses upstairs. That shift evident there for Davis, as they have been in that position all night with him up at the plate. The 2-1, trying to take it to the opposite field. Loved the approach, just didn't get good contact on it, as in left, Rivera underneath it to make the catch. 2 groundouts leads to the flyout for Davis. He's 0 for 3 on the night. Bryce Peterson coming up to the plate. He's 1 for 2 with a single, a run, and a groundout.
Hey, he came around to score on that Zachary Gray single back in the fourth, but really just overall for this Hoppers team, a lot better offensively for them this time around, especially compared to last night, just the 6 hits and 2 runs against the Corns.
So Peterson now standing in, looks at called strike 1. Landis mentioned the second-year player here with Westside, a guy who was in the bullpen all last year, got a couple of starts this year, but back to the bullpen he's went. The 0-1 to Peterson, back up the middle. That's the second comebacker that Landis has had to escape out of. Just happy to see that he's all right. I know his dad goes to every Mammoth game because there's always a chance that his son's going to get the opportunity, as Bryce Peterson with his second single of the day, and that one almost coming at a cost, but we're happy to see everybody's all right with 1 out, now 1 man on for Eastside.
And good to see Peterson with a pair of singles, a struggling season for him so far. Entering the game, hitting just 184, and we talked a little bit about that college showcase coming up on Monday. These guys know that that's coming up. They're trying to fight to just stay on the team, so Peterson making a strong case for himself. Also, Zachary Gray, who was struggling a bit, especially with his power numbers, just hit his first home run of the season, which came last inning back in that fourth. A good at-bat for him overall. He almost went yard to the right field, but was about 50 feet foul over towards that wiffle ball field like we talked about, but ended up sending one out to the opposite field.
In the dirt, Smith keeping it out in front of him, so that's a great job there. Gets time from the home plate umpire. Wagon shoots, gets a new baseball. Great hitter's count for Gray. It's 2-0. Had that 2-run shot just an inning ago on a 2-2 pitch, and he took Quillen's yard, and then Lukongo behind him reached on a 5-pitch walk. That ended Quillen's night. Over there on first, of course, Peterson on the season thus far. Bryce Peterson 1 for 1 on the base pass. Good opportunity to maybe get 2. Gray not a speedster on the base pass. So if you're Landis, try and work in a ground ball here. Eastside, 5 runs on 7 hits. Westside, 1 run on 4 hits. As the 2-1 comes home. Line drive just off the glove of Shelby. Looked as if he was going to make a tremendous stop. As going into third is Peterson. Almost had a play there, but overall just out of the grasp of Javon Shelby. That's the kind of difference maker that Zachary Gray is. Hit it hard enough just to get over that outstretched glove. And now runners on the corners with 1 out here in this situation. As you see Jackson Smith showing the signs there to the infielders. Not sure if any of you don't know what that means, but he giving signs to his infielders, of course, with the runners on first and third. That's telling mainly the guys up the middle that if he, in fact, decides to go to second, does Gray, then they're either going to throw to second or maybe throw it to Landis with a comebacker, or, of course, Dobson or Shelby could cut it off and try and get Peterson at the plate if he decides to break for it on the steal from Gray, but we'll get there if we need to, as Lukongo standing in. A perfect night thus far. 0 for 0 with 2 walks and 2 runs scored. The 1-0, grounded to the right side. Barbie's got to make a split-second decision. He knows Lukongo doesn't have a ton of speed going down the line, but just enough allows Peterson to come in to score as that ball not hit that hard to Barbie. So the 3-6 put out is recorded to retire Gray, and Lukongo, given everything he's got, reaching base safely for the third time tonight, keeps the inning alive, and most importantly, gets that 6th run of the game in as he reaches base safely. As Joey Radzewski standing in 0 for 1 with a pop out to short, reached on a 4-pitch walk back in the third. First pitch missing just a bit outside. Good eye from Radzewski, who had just one plate appearance yesterday. That's when he pinched hit for Watley. Reached on a fielder's choice. So looking for a hit here, would be just his 7th of the season. This one chopped to the shortstop. Dobson makes the easy play as Lukongo forced him to speed it up a bit. But in the end, the force out is retired via the unassisted play. But the Hoppers do get a run as they take the 6-1 lead through 5. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. The day is done for Noah Goatsees, and a good day it was. Goes the 5 innings, did allow the 4 hits, but spread them out well as he allowed just the 1 earned run. Had 2 walks allowed, which was the most on the season for him, so that was the one blemish on the night, but did have 5 strikeouts. Most importantly, he leaves the day with a 5-run lead as we go into the 6th inning, and not sure who else you'd want to come in after you than Luis Contreras, who is, of course, one of the starters for these Eastside Diamond Hoppers, but with the fact that they do not play tomorrow, that, of course, meaning that the weekend will be done, so a split start between Goatsees and the man now on the mound in Luis Contreras. Sonny Cortez working the count 1-1. Couple of pitches up and in, both of them being fouled off as Cortez just trying to escape. But for more on Contreras, let's head it over to Leo.
Yeah, Luis Contreras, the native out of Pembroke Pines, Florida, did have some experience in the Chicago Cubs organization, played, I believe, in the Dominican Republic, one of those leagues in their minor league system. So, brings in some good experience. He'll strike out Sonny Cortez here. Not a good at bat there for Cortez.
So Cortez down on strikes to begin this one. He struck out looking to end the third and strikes out here to start the sixth. Over 3 night for Sonny Cortez. Not sure how many times we'll say that here this season, as he's got, of course, that .415 batting average coming into play tonight.
And a little bit more on Contreras. He does lead the league currently with 30 strikeouts in just 19 innings of work so far this season. He did have a very strong start to the season, has earned USPBL Player of the Week honors twice, just like the man in the batter's box right now, Ethan Whisker. But Contreras with a .474 ERA, he's got 10 earned runs through 19 innings, but just 6 walks to 30 strikeouts, so a great ratio for him right here. Looking to shut down the Mammoths, who haven't produced offensively very much so far in this game. Just the 1 run on the 4 hits.
So Contreras looking for strikeout number 31 on the season, as this 93-mile-an-hour fastball up and away. But the combination of the mid-90s fastball with the off-speed stuff that Contreras has, part of the reason he's one of the best guys in this league, and hopefully won't see him for the entire season in a Hopper uniform. But a little bit more time for that to be told is this pitch. 85 in the dirt. Good stop from Lukongo. Evens it up at 2-2.
Ethan Whisker in the box. 0 for 2 so far. Like I just mentioned, the USPBL Player of the Week last week, he hit .556 during that stretch with a really solid slugging percentage as well. But currently riding a 7-game hit streak. He'd like to definitely continue that right here.
The 2-2 in the dirt, 74, the breaking ball missing by a lot, and you're seeing a little bit of inaccuracy from Contreras, of course, in a role that he's not used to, not being the starter in this ball game, maybe having a little bit of effect on not just, I mean, it changes everything up. You know, I was a reliever for just 2 years at Macomb Community College, and I always knew that I was showing up to every game, and there was always an opportunity that I was going to go in and pitch in a game, as the 3-2 pitch swung on and missed upstairs. Good job from Contreras to get his second consecutive strikeout and battle back in this one. But back to the conversation, I knew that I would have to show up, do the exact same routine, be ready for my spot in the ball game at any time. But when you're a starter, you know which day you're going to throw on, so you have a whole different idea compared to any other game where you're most likely chewing seeds and hanging out in the dugout when you're not pitching. But a different story for Contreras today, but at the moment it doesn't seem like it's affecting him one bit, as he's 2 for 2 with 2 strikeouts, really making these Westside Woolly Mammoths uncomfortable up at the plate as you get the 3 and 4 hitters to strike out to start your night. I mean, can't really ask for much more than that as Barbie looks at ball 1 inside.
Yeah, and either way, even though he may not have known going into this game that he would come in, you have to have a different approach when you're coming in as a reliever. You're seeing hitters that have already seen live pitching for a few innings so far, so your approach has to be a little bit different. Guys seeing the ball a little bit better later in the game. But a guy like Contreras going out there right now is doing a heck of a job with the back-to-back strikeouts right here.
The 1-1 right on that inside corner at 92. Seen Barbie kind of back out for the second consecutive time, and both called for a strike. It just goes to show you the respect that these players kind of have for Contreras, not really knowing what he's going to bring or where he's going to bring it. And the main reason for his success this year, trying to strike out this side in order, the 1-2. Oh, my goodness. Almost hit Barbie right where you don't want it, but able to escape again as you see him take the deep breath. And if I'm Contreras, going right back with the fastball in on the hands, because even if it's in the strike zone, mid-90s, there's no way Barbie's going to get around it with the way that we've seen most pitchers, like you said earlier in the broadcast, Leo, sitting around 89 to 90 miles an hour this year in terms of the average pitcher. And look at that, of course, a backdoor breaking ball at 83. That is the kind of combination that can get you into the big leagues, but for the moment in time, Contreras just trying to retire the batter and get a perfect top of the sixth and keep his team up by that 5-run spot. Mammoths with a run in the third. Eastside with 1 in the bottom half, 4 in the home half of the fourth, and 1 more in that last inning. This ball just foul down that line. Neither Barbie or the first base coach can believe it, but I'll tell you right here and now, first base umpire Jim Mulick, I mean, he was right on top of it, but at the same time, so was Brian Kluppe in that first base coach's box, and now Mark Wiedemeyer, the manager, going over to have a conversation. We saw just not last Sunday, but the Sunday beforehand, there was a controversial home run call that went against the Mammoths that turned into a grand slam, as no attempt confirmed there. You can't really change that call, as Barbie's going to have to go at it here again, but man, was that about as close as it could have been. But you got to give credit to Jim Mulick. I mean, he was right on top of it. You're the human eye. You give a split-second decision. It was right there. Got to imagine it missed by a fraction of an inch. Either way, count is full, nobody on. Contreras trying to strike out this side. Outside corner, ball 4 called, as Barbie maybe given the benefit of the doubt there. Could have went either way, but maybe a makeup for that call down the line. Either way, Barbie reaches safely on the 2-out walk.
Yeah, and we talk often about leadoff walks, and 2-out walks can be absolutely killer. So not what you want to see out of Contreras, but definitely a lot better to have that runner on first rather than second, as he could have reached with that double, but he'll have to face the dangerous Javon Shelby, tied for third in doubles with 4, and also tied for second with 2 home runs this season. He's picked it up with the bat lately, 2 for 6. Last game with the home run, his second of the season, and also a pair of RBIs for him. And Shelby also with affiliated experience with the Oakland A's, and also was drafted by the Brewers out of high school. So he has been drafted twice, so brings in a lot of experience to the USPBL.
Yeah, overall, that average sitting at 263. Not great, but can definitely get up to where you want it to be. Just got to be a little bit more consistent, but does have 10 hits through the first 11 games with the Mammoths, as the 0-2. Outside corner, called strike 3, no doubt about it. Shelby was frozen up, as officially Contreras strikes out the side, but allows the 2-out walk to Barbie. Either way, Hopper's out in front by 5. As we head to the home half of the 6th, you're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. Clifton Landis III out for another inning of work. It will be the bottom and then the top of the order due up for Eastside. Watley, Adams, Geely coming up as the Hoppers with the 6-1 lead here in this home half of the sixth. First pitch from Clifton Landis III missing upstairs. So a good start. Catching up on the scoreboard there. Did have a strike, but it wasn't put up just yet. Either way, count even at 1-1. Landis slinging the pitch in there. Watley checked his swing, but it made contact with the lumber, and it went off towards the right side of the infield. So quickly down in the count, Watley is 1-2 after coming off of that double back in the fourth and came around to score. The 1-2, breaking ball, left upstairs, over the head of Dobson, had no chance at it. Good job from Watley, second base knock in as many at-bats after his looking strikeout back in the third. Not more you want than your 9-hole hitter to get on base to lead off an inning, and sort of that double leadoff role perfectly executed there.
That's right, and Watley was hitting in the 2 spot last night as him and Geely kind of flip-flopped as Geely was lower in the lineup. He was in the 9 spot. So Paul Noce makes the switch there. Maybe Watley a little bit more comfortable hitting lower in the lineup. He's seen a couple of good pitches and hasn't missed them. He had a trio of strikeouts last night, but he's got a multi-hit game for himself today, including that double. So things looking up for Watley once again offensively. It wasn't too bad of a start for him on the season. He does have 8 walks as well, so good for a .368 on base percentage, but batting average starting to climb up for Kevin Watley. Definitely good news for the Hoppers.
So Adams had a great start to the night. Single in the first, single in the third. That drove in a run, but did strike out on a 2-2 pitch back in the fourth. Over there on first, of course, is Watley. Adams taking a cut at the 1-0 pitch. Brings the count even at 1-1 on the season. Watley over there on the first base. 1 for 2 on the base paths. Clifton Landis III desperately looking for some type of ground ball, but don't see that all too often as this one getting away from the catcher Smith, and moving up on that miscue is Watley, so he gets into scoring position. And now the force out, of course, taken out of it, but either way, Pat Adams with a great hitter's count. See what he can do as he leads the USPBL in hits at the moment. Watley with a decent lead. Dobson behind him goes back to his position. Breaking ball. You saw, of course, Adams kind of swinging out in front of it. This one getting away from Clifton Landis. Heads up base running for Kevin Watley as Adams kind of just hit that one in the perfect spot. Not much that the infielders could have done about it. And I wonder exactly what they'll rule this one. Could go either way. I got to imagine they're going to give it a base knock, though, as it looked as if it was going to be a bang-bang play, but instead they do put it up in the error column. So I got to imagine that it'll go to Barbie as Watley comes in to score, and I'm assuming most likely the error committed because, of course, the runner Watley advancing on that miscue. Geely now standing up to the plate. He's had a great night. A sacrifice bunt, a walk, and then a 2 RBI single back in the fourth. This 1-0 pitch missing outside. Quickly now 2-0 on Geely.
Yeah, Geely's had some great at-bats back in the third, battled to draw that walk, and also battled in the fourth, had that full count, was fouling off a lot of pitches kind of late on the fastball, but ends up turning around a fastball inside, sending it to center field.
As this one sent into right, look at that. Whisker trying to get the force out at second. The shortstop, Dobson, thought that the play was over like the rest of us, as Geely gets his second consecutive hit. So more beer, of course, as the runners now on first and second. A single, a reach on an error, and a single. Have the first 3 men on for Westside in this one. It looks like the day might, in fact, be done for Landis III, and hasn't made the motion just yet. Has Wiedemeyer. Give it just a second, and clap of the hands, a shake of the hand, and there he goes. Landis' day is done, so we'll take a quick break here in this home half of the sixth. Hoppers out in front 7-1. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. The day is done for Clifton Landis III. He goes 2+ innings, allows 3 earned runs on 6 hits. Didn't walk anybody, had 1 strikeout, but he, of course, still in charge of the base runners on the bag. Over there on second is Adams. Geely over on first. It's now Wesley Jones' turn. 0 for 3 on the night, a ground out, a strikeout, and a reach on a fielder's choice. As this ball on the 1-0, it won't be an easy play. Someone's going to have to take charge. It was Dobson, and look at the stretch from Jake Barbie. My goodness, he does the splits, and a much-needed out committed there by the Mammoths. A tip of the cap from the left side of the infield to Jake Barbie, as Jones will remain 0 on the night, but good stuff there from the catcher playing first base.
Yeah, absolutely. Heck of a play there by Jake Barbie with that stretch. Entering the ball game, Andrew Kramer, like we just mentioned, out of New York, previously played for Salisbury University, Division III NCAA ball. In 3 years of college, only appeared in 35 games, had 35 2/3 innings of work, a 6.90 ERA, and 35 strikeouts, so striking out exactly 1 batter per inning, but not a lot of experience coming in for Kramer, but has pitched now 7 times. This is now his 7th outing this season for the Mammoths. He's made 5 appearances out of relief and 1 start as well, but 10 1/3, 8 hits, 8 runs, 6 earned runs, 7 walks in those 10 1/3, and 5 strikeouts. But opponents hitting just 195 against him, so just needs to keep those walk numbers down.
So in the end, he's pretty much just battling himself, and like you said, that 5.23 ERA in those 5 total appearances. 6 of the runs earned, but those 7 walks in just 10 1/3 innings, that's definitely going to come back to haunt you. He's quickly got Davis down in the count 0-2. This ball back up the middle, perfectly playing in the shift is Dobson, as the out is recorded via the 6-3 putout. Back-to-back there, but coming in to score is Adams for now the 8th run of the game for Eastside. Geely getting all the way over to third. 2 outs, runner on third as Bryce Peterson standing in, looking for his 3rd consecutive single as he came around to score in the last 2 innings.
And just another good approach there by the Hoppers. Situational hitting at its finest right there. May not look pretty in person, but Hoppers have put up 2 this inning. Good ground out there for Brian Davis.
As Peterson looks at called strike 1. Yeah, I mean, Brian Quillens looked good through the first 2 innings, allowing just 1 hit, and it faced the minimum. But 3 walks accompanied by an RBI single in the 3rd gave the Hoppers their first run of the game. And then kind of when that home run from Zachary Gray occurred, the wheels started to just fall off as the Hoppers adding on in this one. Peterson looks at ball 1, brings the count even as Kramer trying desperately to get this 3rd out before the 9th run of the game can come in for Eastside. The 1-1. Fouled off of Smith. Brings the count to 1-2. So 1 more strike needed for Kramer. Got to be a tough mental state right now if you're Westside. In last place at 3-8, having a tough night tonight. What can you do to somehow maintain the focus to continue pitch after pitch, knowing that, you know, you might be out of this game already, but this one taken into left field at the track on the run, making the catch is Ryan Rivera. Peterson is retired for the 3rd and final out, but the Hoppers get 2 runs on 2 hits. They take the 8-1 lead into the 7th. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. We are through 6 at Jimmy John's Field. Luis Contreras out there for his 2nd inning of work. He's got to deal with the bottom of the order. Rivera, Wells, and Pasquale due up for Westside. First pitch opportunity, fouls it off. Does Rivera. Mention Contreras normally a starter But with the Hoppers not having a game tomorrow and Contreras yet to pitch this weekend, him and Goatse's splitting the start in this one as the 0-1 to Rivera missing well inside. And I'll tell you right here and now, knowing that coming into today's action, of course, if I wasn't involved with the league and if it was actually a opportunity, I'm not a betting man, but I'd put any type of money, if I could, on the Hoppers in this one with the two pitchers going for them in this contest because they have been two of the best in the league as a whole. And when you can have two top dogs in your rotation when you only play a couple of games a weekend, that's a recipe for success. And at the moment right now, would be shocked to not see the Unicorns make it all the way to the championship this year. But the Hoppers and the Beavers both have, of course, there's two sides to this game with the offense and the defense. But overall, I would love to see Eastside make a run at it. That, of course, depends on if these pitchers can stay on the team throughout the season. As the count evens up at 2-2. Rivera ready for it. This one flared into left center field. Looks like it's going to get down right in front of Radzewski. So the leadoff man is on for Westside. Mentioned how Contreras has affiliated experience in the Cubs organization playing in the Venezuelan League. We know that, of course, the main objective in the USPBL is to get players to that next level. And, of course, so far through the first 3 seasons in the USPBL, we have seen 27 players picked up by Major League affiliated teams. And back, of course, in year 2, it was Randy Dobnik in year 2, Randy Dobnik with those Utica Unicorns getting picked up by the Minnesota Twins. He currently pitching at the AAA level, could very well be the first player out of the USPBL to make it on an MLB roster. And for a little bit more info on Dobnik, he's pitching tonight for Rochester. Leo, how about you let these fans kind of know about possibly the first MLB player out of the USPBL?
Yeah, Dobnik currently in the Minnesota Twins organization with the Rochester Red Wings, of course, in AAA like Rich just mentioned, but a great start for him tonight. Earns his first win in AAA, going 6 innings, giving up just 3 hits, 1 earned run, only walked 1, and struck out 5. His ERA so far in AAA this season, a clean .255, and with the way that the Minnesota Twins are playing this season, this is a guy that definitely could get called up and be a big part maybe of their bullpen, as the Twins' rotation has been very solid this year. Of course, the Tigers playing a weekend set with them, but overall, Dobnik with a 194 at 3 levels.
Oh, boy, look at that. Opportunity at first. Sorry to interrupt there real quick, Leo, but Lukongo almost catching Ryan Rivera off guard. But, yes, Randy Dobnik, I mean, some stellar stuff with the Rochester Red Wings. Also, of course, in his time in the Florida Southern League, as well as the Southern League in Advanced A-Ball and Double-A ball, his numbers have been great. And it's only hopefully a matter of time before we see him in a Minnesota Twins uniform, as Stephen Wells Jr. for the second consecutive time striking out after his single back in the third when he came in to score the first run of the game. But since then, it has been all Eastside in this one. Pasquale standing in now. He's perfect so far tonight, 2 for 2 with a pair of singles.
Yeah, trying to keep his baseball career alive potentially. As we mentioned, that college senior day coming up on Monday. These guys know that the pressure's definitely on, but Steve Pasquale has delivered here. As we mentioned before, Pasquale was in the Pecos League with the Train Robbers, managed by Brian Kluppy. So definitely a familiar face for Kluppy, a guy that definitely would like to stick around, and hopefully he can. Be nice if he could add another hit to his ledger.
This one hit high into right center field. You see 3 Hoppers underneath it. Opportunity for a double play, and they're going to get it. Weren't sure if we were going to get the out in the outfield, but the one at first made heads-up job from Bryce Peterson to catch Ryan Rivera off guard. An inning-ending double play gets the Mammoths out of it in the top of the 7th. We head to stretch time. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. right into the thick of things as we head to the home half of the seventh. Sorry, we were still getting stretched out here for stretch time, but back into the action we go. Zachary Gray, who had a great night with the 2-run homer in the fourth and the single in the fifth. First pitch swinging over there to Jake Barbie as the unassisted putout is recorded over there at first. So Gray is retired for the second time tonight. Most likely will be the end of his day as he finishes up 2 for 4. Tommy Lukongo, just as Gray had been. First pitch swinging, ball hit to the right side of the infield, and quickly 2 up and 2 down. Not sure if this is a strategy for the Hoppers. They have the 7-run lead here in the seventh as they're quickly swinging at these pitches. Haven't seen a 3-pitch inning in the USPBL at all this year, but maybe an opportunity here for Andrew Kramer.
And Radzuski should take here, and he will. Definitely don't want to go down with 3 pitches in 1 inning, but the Hoppers, talk about an offensive outbreak. Finally, 8 runs on 10 hits so far. Whole different story than it has been for them this season. Came in worst in the league in batting average at the 224 mark and home runs with just 2. So good to see at least 1 home run today so far from Zachary Gray. And also, RBIs only came in with 45, third in the league. We mentioned their ERA, the best in the league at a 343 mark. So we know that the pitching has been there, but finally the offense starting to wake up. Good signs for Paul Nochi.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth there, Leo. Outside of the second inning tonight, the Hoppers have had at least 1 hit in every inning, and that is a great sign. Like you mentioned, just 1 player above 300 coming into tonight, and Pat Adams, who had a 386 average, and he adds 2 hits onto it tonight. Radzuski is retired via the flyout to center. 1-2-3 inning is in the books. We head to the 8th. It's 8-1 Eastside. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. We head to the 8th inning in this one. 8-1 Eastside on this 8th of June. Rich Borland, Leo Ortel back with you as it'll be Smith, top of the order. Dobson Cortez due up behind him as Luis Contreras in there for his 3rd inning of work. The starter in the relief role tonight in the split start between him and Noah Goetzies. 20 pitches in that 1st inning in the 6th. struck out the side, accompanied by the 2-out walk to Jake Barbie. Ryan Rivera reached on a single to start the 7th, but then a strikeout, and then a double play that was on a fly out to right that ended up catching Rivera off guard on the double play where he got caught back at first. Got the Mammoths out of it in the top of the 7th. 31 pitches for Contreras coming into this frame. He's quickly got Jackson Smith down in the count, 0-2. As Smith on the night, 1 for 3. Reached on a single to start this game. Knew that he had gotten rung up almost before Gary Wagenschutz, the home plate umpire, could have called it. Quickly taking care of business. That is strikeout number 5 in count it. 8 at-bats that he has faced. So that's unbelievable stuff. But if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be Luis.
Impressive so far for Contreras. Has faced just one batter over the minimum so far in this outing. His first relief outing of the season. And he's turning it into a good one here. Not a lot of pressure on him here, so can maybe test out some stuff against some live batters here in this contest. But, man, is he looking impressive so far.
Thompson looks at ball 1 to begin this at-bat. Drove in the only run of the game back in the 3rd with the sacrifice flyout as the second pitch of the at-bat called a strike. So the count even at 1-1. Contreras looking sharp even in the relief role as this breaking ball at 72 misses low and away. Both of these men with affiliated experience, so a good matchup here between Dobson and Contreras, as even though it says 3-1 up on the board, it's 2-1 is your count. There it goes, fixed now as we continue to get ready to close this one out. Hoppers most likely with just one more at-bat. This one tonight, and the 2-1 called strike 2. Quickly even now as Dobson, realizing that the 2 strikes called against him could have gone either way, but we're a little late in this game. Team's down by 7 runs. You got to be ready for anything around the zone because it most likely will be called a strike. The 2-2 swung on and missed at 91. Dobson goes down on strikes for the first time tonight, but another one for Luis Contreras. Already now with, count 'em, 6 strikeouts. Unbelievable stuff here from the right-hander.
Yeah, it really is. And he doesn't have a plus arm, only sits around 91 or 92 max on that fastball. But it really is a fastball with some movement, which is what you need to see. You'll see some guys throwing maybe 95, 96 with not a lot of movement. It's kind of just a straight dart of a fastball, as they say, which it's not always about velocity. Contreras has that tailing action on his fastball. It kind of puts him at another level. Like we mentioned, he leads the league in strikeouts entering this appearance, now with 36 on the season. He came in with just 19 innings pitched, now pitching in his 3rd inning here. So really great stuff once again.
Sonny Cortez, though, could make a blemish on Contreras' night, and in fact, he will. We talked about Cortez being so consistent with that best batting average in the league at .415 coming into tonight, but now, ladies and gentlemen, an even bigger threat to the opposition as Cortez, with his first home run of the year, showing that, yes, he can leave the park as well. Really great stuff in what I see is, at the moment, the best hitting prospect in the USPBL.
Yeah, definitely came in leading the league in average and on-base percentage, above 500 with that OBP. Finally, we're starting to see some power signs. It wasn't a good day for Cortez so far. It was 0 for 3 with a pair of strikeouts, but, man, he did not miss that mistake pitch. Really the first we have seen from Luis Contreras so far.
So in stands Ethan Whisker, like you said. Sorry, the locks got me for a second. Barbie, I believe, cut his off, but he had it for a long time. Caught me off guard after that home run. But, hey, Cortez not giving up as Whisker looks at a pitch, count even at 1-1. And it kind of just goes to show, I mean, you have an 0 for 3 night going into the at-bat. You're facing off against a guy who had 6 strikeouts in the first time through the order. Cortez was the first strikeout victim of the night for Contreras. It was the first batter that he saw. So the second time around the order in favor of Cortez. Great stuff there for the guy who is currently in second place in the USPBL in hits. As mentioned, Pat Adams and Cortez tied for the league lead coming into play tonight. Pat Adams has one more hit than him, but back-to-back jacks for the Mammoths as the power showing here in the top of the eighth. Might be a little too late, but Ethan Whisker for the Mammoths as he trots around third. Count it, home run number 1 on the season for Ethan Whisker. That's a good sign there for Mark Wiedemeyer's team.
And Contreras had given up just 2 home runs entering this appearance in just 19 innings pitched, but 2 given up back-to-back here. Also the first of the season for Ethan Whisker, who we know has a ton of power potential. The USPBL co-player of the year last year and also a participant in the annual USPBL Home Run Derby. But, man, he got a hold of that one, and that's a good sign from Whisker. As we mentioned also, the USPBL Player of the Week last week, but that's his first home run of the season. Great sign there for Wiedemeyer and the Mammoths, who are not going away quietly in this one against Contreras.
So Barbie ready. This pitch misses away on the night thus far. Barbie 0 for 2 with a strikeout, a pop-out. Did reach on a 7-pitch walk back in that 6th inning. Still got a long ways to go for Westside as they've been able to strand 2 home runs back-to-back. Could you imagine if Barbie took one out as well? You know he's got the ability to do so. But that would be something, especially against the guy in Contreras who we mentioned. I mean, clearly he's throwing strikes. The Mammoths maybe just taking notice of that and just maybe sitting on fastballs because Contreras is throwing a lot of them.
Yeah, and a few of those strikeouts were looking as well. Not all of them were swinging, so maybe just being a little bit more aggressive earlier in counts might be the key to success against Contreras. But really the last couple of outings for him haven't been the best. He entered with a 4.74 ERA, which is definitely higher than you would like to see. He's got those high strikeout numbers, but the Mammoths hitting him around a little bit here with 2 outs in the 8th.
The 1-2 in the dirt. Good eye from Barbie as he's trying to work maybe a second consecutive walk of the night. And the Mammoths need some base runners on to try and force Contreras to have some even more pressure in this one. Quick 2 strikeouts, but then back-to-back home runs from Cortez and Whisker, getting back at Contreras after he had struck both of them out back in the 6th. Barbie ready for the 2-2. Breaking ball swung right through at 73 miles an hour. Count it now. Strikeout number 7 as Contreras does technically strike out this side, but allows the 2-out home runs as the Hoppers lead at 8-3. We head to the home half of the 8th. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. To the home half of the 8th we go. Rich Borland, Leo Ortel with you. It'll be the bottom and the top, same as what we saw in the 6th inning for Eastside. Watley, Adams, Geely due up, as it'll be Andrew Kramer back out there for his now, count it, technically 3rd inning of work. He's retired 6 straight after coming in for Clifton Landis III. Retired Wesley Jones, Brian Davis via some 6-3 groundouts, and then Bryce Peterson with the fly out to left in the 6th. Unassisted groundout from Zach Gray, Tommy Lakonga with a groundout to second, Joey Radzewski with a fly out to center. That was a quick 7th inning, and Kevin Watley trying to get his 3rd consecutive hit after he had struck out looking back in the 3rd. A double with a run scored 4th, a single with a run scored in the 6th, as after the 2-1 called strike 2, Watley calls time as the Hoppers looking to add on some insurance after the Mammoths get back-to-back jacks from Cortez and Whisker. Meanwhile, look out, Watley drilled, but home plate umpire Gary Wagenschutz says hold on just a minute, as Watley trying to sell it. Maybe got a piece of the finger, as the first base umpire says that there was no swing on the play. Watley selling it there looked as if it did get him on the hand, and there goes that whole conversation where is the hand part of the bat, and then sort of that judgment call. Initially, Wagenschutz, the home plate umpire, saying hold on, but Watley having a few words and selling his way down to first. Either way, yep. Hoppers with the leadoff man on here in the home half of the 8th.
And Andrew Kramer, the pitcher, seems to be a little bit frustrated with the call. You saw him kind of motion towards the home plate umpire. Then he just talked to Jim Mulich, our infield umpire for this game. So he's frustrated with the call, but pitching him inside. And Kevin Watley, a guy that the baseball seems to find him, I should say. He was hit by a pitch last night as well, the only time that he reached. But Watley, another good game here. 2 for 3 with that hit by pitch.
Opportunity for a ground ball that could lead to 2, the 4, the 6, the stretch at first for 3. And so much for the hit by pitch to Watley. Tremendous job there from Javon Shelby as well as Ryan Dobson to get outs number 1 and 2. The 4-6-3 double play is recorded, and Geely will come up to the plate. 2 outs and nobody on. As the Hoppers just 3 outs away from getting their 7th win of the season and breaking out of that 500 mark.
And you mentioned a great turn from Dobson and Shelby. How about that stretch again from Jake Barbie, showing off the splits and the flexibility once again.
Staying busy is Shelby, but he comes up on that grounder trying to make the play, as he knew Geely had plenty of speed going down that first baseline. I'll be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if Geely made it to first base, even if Shelby made the play, but technically you got to give that one an error as he came up early on it, and in the books it'll go down as that E4.
And that's the advantage of having speed out of the box like Geely does, especially from the left side, which gives you a few steps of advantage compared to that right side. So Geely, the guys know he has a lot of speed, so Shelby kind of rushing to make that play, but kind of surprising to see from the veteran Shelby, who's got affiliated experience and has racked up quite a few innings at second base. Wesley Jones will get another crack at it here.
Jones, an off night for him. He's been playing well, and look at that, I jinx him. Of course, he was 0 for 4 going into this at-bat, but hits one back up the middle to bring runners to first and second. Good job there for Jones, the third baseman, to have his first hit of the night.
Yeah, he had a multi-hit game last night, 2 for 3, so keeping the hit streak alive right there. He's been a productive bat in this Hoppers lineup that has really been cold up until this game, but can't talk enough about the way that this offense has produced today, not just with the long ball with Zachary Gray back in the 4th, but just really good situational hitting for them, advancing runners over. Paul Noce has had a pretty aggressive approach as far as hitting runs today, and it has led to success, so look for Paul Noce to continue that as this season continues.
The 0-1 to Davis, breaking ball that missed, but Not sure if you saw that, Leo. You were adjusting the count. Smith had made contact with the glove, couldn't squeeze it. It went from that left hand of his. It kind of scooted to the right in the midair, and he grabbed it with the bare hand. Athletic play there on the reaction from Smith as this one beating the shift. Davis, for the first time tonight, able to get a base knock, and coming in to score is Geely as the Hoppers add on in this one. Jones going from first to second, but a good sign there from Davis to get the base knock and drive in the run. Didn't need it, but the Hoppers will take it, as standing in now Bryce Peterson with 2 singles and 2 runs scored on the day for number 22.
Yeah, another great approach there for Davis. Takes one to the opposite way for his first hit. Another RBI for him. He had an RBI back in that 6th inning as well, so 2 RBIs for him. And this struggling Hoppers lineup continues to get it done, especially good to see that with 2 outs as well. Now Bryce Peterson up. He's got a pair of singles on his ledger so far. So a good day for Peterson, 2 for 4. Singles in the 4th and 5th innings.
This one roped down that third baseline and into left. Evens the count up at 1-1. Want to mention to everybody, of course, the weekend not over yet at Jimmy John's Field. The Eastside Diamond Hoppers looking to get their first victory of the weekend, as they lost to the Unicorns in a tough one last night, 3-2. Then the Mammoths will be in action tomorrow against the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers on our Sunday Fun Day matinee contest. Kramer, meanwhile, breaking ball. It's hung. Wow. It's far. It is gone. You can forget about it. Over the scoreboard, Bryce Peterson with his first home run of the year drives in 3, and the Hoppers now with the commanding 12-3 lead. It's all she wrote here, ladies and gentlemen. Not done yet, but this one, without a doubt, putting the stamp on it is Peterson, his 3rd hit of the night. And between him and Gray, I mean, tremendous stuff either way.
And we were talking a few innings ago during a break, Rich. There hasn't really been a ton of home runs when we've called games this season. There's been quite a few in those non-public games, but we're seeing a lot more power shown on display tonight. That was probably the most no-doubt home run we have seen up in the broadcast booth so far this season. That thing was crushed.
No doubt about that. Excited to see the distance and then, of course, exit velocity of that one. Hopefully we can bring it to you before the broadcast is over. But, yes, we saw Jimmy Latona with 2 home runs in the game on Thursday. I, of course, wasn't on the call yesterday. I was a little bit busy. Were there any yesterday?
None yesterday.
This one, it's got a chance. Instead, it's going to hop over the fence, as that one will be a ground rule double. So almost a second home run of the night for Mr. Gray, but instead it's a single, and it looks as if he's going to end his night a triple shy of the cycle.
Yeah, great day for Gray, who was struggling coming in. Also, Peterson was hitting just 184. This Hoppers team only had 2 home runs entering this ball game, so good to see them with a few tonight. Those power numbers going up. Now 14 hits and 12 runs.
So the first pitch to Lukongo swung on and missed. He's the 8th batter in this 8th inning for Eastside. Kramer having a good start to his night, retiring the first 6, but a tough one here in this 8th, as Lukongo looks at ball 1. Count even at 1-1. Swing and a miss. Lukongo brings the count to 1-2, but wanted to finish off the thought about tomorrow. Mentioned the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers will take on the Westside Woolly Mammoths Sunday Fun Day. It'll be the Turtle Ninja Party presented by Fairy Tale Entertainment. So bring the kids on out to the park and have a great Sunday afternoon. No place you'd rather be. This is, of course, your summer destination. Look at the textbook 2-strike hitting there from Thomas Lukongo. Just foul, but he did pretty much everything you're supposed to in that instance. saw the off-speed pitch on the 1-2, waited on it, was patient, and almost perfectly placed that one down in that right field corner to just continue the onslaught for the Hoppers here in the home half of the 8th, already with the 4 spot. Second 4 spot that they put up. First one back in the 4th.
And really, Lukongo's approach has been there all night. The numbers might not show it. He's 0 for 2 with 2 walks, but had that RBI ground out back in the 5th. It was a soft hit ball over to the right side that was able to plate the run. A pair of walks as well. So it doesn't look all that pretty, but not that bad of an approach. He'll strike out swinging right here.
Lukongo is retired, swings and misses as it's 12-3 Eastside. We head to the 9th. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel.
And welcome back, folks, to the USPBL YouTube channel. Lee Ortel and Rich Borland on the call. We head to the 9th inning here. Javon Shelby will face off against Luis Contreras. Contreras now in his 4th inning of work. He was pretty solid up until the last couple of batters in the last inning. Sonny Cortez and Ethan Whisker taking him yard, but still, Luis Contreras has been pretty dominant otherwise with 7 strikeouts now in his outing. Just 3 innings of work. Javon Shelby taking an ugly-looking swing right there. 67-mile-an-hour breaking ball. Not sure if that pitch speed exactly accurate up there on the board, but Contreras definitely a guy that likes to change speeds and locations. He's got a good fastball with good movement on it. And really it's just been those 2 swings from Sonny Cortez and Ethan Whisker, the only solid contact that the Mammoths have made here against Luis Contreras. And Noah Goetze with another good start, 5 innings of just 1-run baseball while striking out 5. And it's definitely tough for the Mammoths, who had a great win against the Unicorns in that non-public game on Tuesday, as they won that one by a final of 16-2 by putting up 15 hits and 5 home runs. Hasn't been quite the same story for them here. The 2 home runs last inning has really been their only offense except for that sac fly and Ryan Thompson had back in the third. The Mammoths got off to that 1-0 lead, but the Hoppers offensively finally breaking out, put up 1 to tie it in the third, 4 in the fourth, 1 in the fifth, 2 in the sixth. So they scored 4 innings in a row. And the Mammoths answered with 2 in the eighth, but the Hoppers put up another 4 spot in the bottom half of that eighth inning. So last call here for the Mammoths. 2-2 count here on Shelby. Swing and a miss. Shelby goes down swinging here. His third strikeout and the eighth now for Luis Contreras, who just cannot really be touched at this point. Really just those 2 home runs were the only times that he was touched, but seems to have it going once again in this inning. So it'll be another crack at it for Ryan Rivera. A tough night for him up until last inning. His last time up back in the 7th. It was a single for him to left field. He'll send one over to the right side. This time foul down that first base line. But Rivera hitting just 192 entering the game. Just trying to stay in the league here. We've mentioned it quite a few times now on this broadcast. If you're listening and played college ball and you completed your college career, we have a senior showcase coming up on Monday, so be sure to come out to that. Try out for the USPBL as Rivera grounds one over to Freddie Geely at second, makes the routine play, firing it over to Zach Gray. 2 up, 2 down here, and the Mammoths will be down to their final out here, and we will see a pinch hitter here. Stephen Wells Jr. will be replaced by Jake Polshin. Jake Polshin started in last game against the Unicorns. The only lineup change that Mark Wiedemeyer, the manager for this team, made today. The lineup was the exact same except for the 8th spot. Stephen Wells Jr. started off this game as the designated hitter, but Jake Polshin will take his turn here. He was 1 for 3 with a home run, a run scored, and an RBI as he drove in himself back on Tuesday against the Unicorns. So showing off his power here, and also a pretty good season put together by Polshin. 258 batting average, not all that impressive, but has been getting on base pretty consistently for this team. 425 on base percentage, which is good for second on the team and ranks pretty high in the league leading totals. He'll swing through a 90-mile-an-hour fastball on the outside part of the plate right there. Count moves to 1-1. Hoppers trying to close it down here for their first win of the week. They're currently sitting at 6-6, so this would make them 7-6 and put them once again, of course, above 500. Contreras drops in a breaking ball at 70. Hard to touch that after seeing 90. Drops by 20 miles per hour with some good late break on it. So 1 strike away here. The Unicorns, the only team in the league above 500. The Hoppers in the Eastern Division along with them in second place, but they'd like to get above 500 right here. The Mammoths sitting at 3-8 would move to 3-9 unless a miracle could happen for them here. 1-2 count here on Polshin. Contreras from the windup. A breaking ball just missed below the strike zone there, just below the knees of Polshin. Tommy Lukongo thought the ball game was over. Not to be. Great take there for Polshin. Tough spot coming off cold on the bench after sitting through this pretty long contest. Started at 7:05, currently 9:54 p.m. Still great weather here at Jimmy John's Field. The 2-2 pitch swung on and missed. Man, Luis Contreras closes out the game for the Diamond Hoppers. What a performance for him. Count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 strikeouts for Contreras over 4 innings of work. The win will go to Noah Goetzies as he throws 5 innings, but Contreras 9 strikeouts as he finishes off Polshin there to strike out the side here in the 9th. The Hoppers win the ball game here by a final of 12-3. They move to 7-6. The Mammoths fall to 3-9, still sitting at last in the standings.
So overall, Noah Goetzies ending up with the victory 2-0 on the season. That ERA, that was at 1.29 coming into play tonight. Right around where you want it to be. Just the 1 earned run in the 5 innings pitched. Tremendous stuff from both of the Eastside starters in the split start. Don't know who was more impressive. Who am I kidding? It was definitely Contreras. Goatsies did what he wanted to. Got out to the early lead as the Hoppers had 5 runs through the first 4 innings. And it was pretty much cruise control throughout the rest of the game after that long home half of the 4th. Like we said at the end of it, the Hoppers up to 7-6. Mammoths down to 3-9. The Mammoths will be back in action tomorrow against the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers. First pitch will be at 1:05. Both myself and Leo will be on the call like we are each and every game here at Jimmy John's Field. But for this one, all Eastside. A lot of home runs in the contest. Overall fun night. Zachary Gray on the night, the triple shy of the cycle. A really, really great night overall for Eastside, and an offensive just onslaught of hits as they able to put up double-digit runs for the first time all season. As we are all said and done on this Saturday night, Rich Borland and Leo Ortel, we will be back at it tomorrow. You stay classy, Utica.